All right, so we got some stories to run by you. We'll start with this one. Danny Masterson.
Yeah.
He was transferred to Cochran State Prison in California's San Joaquin Valley on Monday. The maximum security prison previously housed inmates such as Charles Manson, Sirhan Sirhan, and Rodney Alcala. This comes after a judge denied the That 70 Show actor's request for bail because, as the judge wrote, he had every incentive to flee and little reason to return to state prison to serve out the remainder of his lengthy sentence should his appeal be unsuccessful. Masterson was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison in September of last year after he was found guilty of raping 2 women between 2001 and 2003 at his home.
So it's a hardcore facility. I wonder because of his celebrity status, they would keep him isolated.
Yeah, don't know. I don't think so. Maybe.
With the other That 70 Show's prisoners.
all of
the prisoners.
He's in the 70s wing.
Yeah.
Wow. Margot Robbie is proud of Barbie and its accomplishments, regardless of the fact that she didn't receive an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress this year. The actor broke her silence on the snub during a SAG-AFTRA panel, which was on Tuesday. And she had said, there's no way to feel sad when you know that you're this blessed.
Is she basically saying, no sad, bro?
No sad, bro. And she also commented on the film's director, Greta Gerwig, being overlooked. She said, obviously, I think that Greta should be nominated as a director. What she did is a once-in-a-career, once-in-a-lifetime thing. She added that she's beyond ecstatic about Barbie receiving 8 Oscar nominations overall. She said everyone getting the nods that they've had is just incredible. And the Best Picture nod, she said, we set out to do something that would shift culture, affect culture, just make some sort of impact, and it's already done that, and some way more than we ever dreamed of it would. And that is truly the biggest reward that could come out of all of this.
You have to imagine that they're working on some sort of way of getting a second Barbie movie, but I wonder how you would, plot-wise, pretty much everything was done on this one.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
I hope they don't. I mean, why... You know, sometimes the sequel thing, just let it alone.
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
Yeah, so...
But you know, when they get a hit, they want 100 more.
True. Very true. Demi Moore appeared on Wednesday's episode of Good Morning America. She opened up about Bruce Willis being diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia last year. The pair were married from 1987 to 2000, and they share 3 daughters. They have 35-year-old Rumor, 32-year-old Scout, and 29-year-old Tallulah. She had said, I think that given the Givens, he's doing very well. And she then went on to share what she says to their daughters as the family copes with these changes. She said, what I'll share is, and what I say to my children is, it's important to just meet them where they are, where they're at, and not hold on to what isn't, but what is.
Yeah, it's good advice.
There's great beauty and sweetness and loving and joy out of that.
So I follow a couple of them, and then you'll see them post these really sweet videos. Bruce seems to be engaged and having fun.
Yeah.
He may not be cognitively fully aware of what's going on, but he seems happy.
Mm-hmm. It's wild. I mean, I knew I grew up with these this family who I believe the one son went all through school with my sister, perfectly normal. And then just for some reason, at the age of like 18, 19, right after he graduated high school, something happened to him cognitively, kind of like this.
Yeah.
Completely changed. And it was just...
Like an Amanda Bynes thing, right?
No, like a Bruce Willis
thing.
Like
a Bruce Willis thing.
So all we're seeing are these little snapshots, right?
Yeah.
So... And so on the outside looking in with this particular family, everything looked normal. But you had heard that something had happened. And then when you interacted with them, you were like, oh my gosh, you are not this person anymore.
They'd forgotten chunks of their life and that sort of thing? Or were they, okay, because I had a friend growing up who had a head injury. I've talked about it on air.
Yeah.
Who became a different person. And he was my friend after that, but he was a different friend at that point.
Yeah, but this one, there was no trauma. It just was a condition.
And some people like Bruce in his situation, they kind of stop communicating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they have moments where they do, and then long moments where they just don't, or don't understand what's happening and can't respond to you. So it's a strange. There's so many different mental isms, if you will, or things or conditions that have all that manifest all differently, and it's very confusing, and it can be really sad. But if you have a family and a support group that are there, that can just help guide, that can make it work, to lack of a better term. She had said in the same vein with Andy Cohen, when you let go of what they've been or who you think or even who you would like them to be, you can then really stay in the present and take in the joy and love that is present, and therefore all that they are, not all that they are not. So kind of like your friend, Casey, or the guy you're referring to, you just kind of have to go, all right, we got to let that person go.
This is this person right now.
And this is who they are now. And
I think that's sage advice.
Not dwell on who they used to be. And that's got to be hard to do. It's got to be very hard to do. So, Deadline reports that on Wednesday, Alec Baldwin entered a not guilty plea in the fatal Rust shooting that took the life of cinematographer Helena Hutchins.
Not guilty, you filthy pig.
The 30 Rock actor was once again charged with voluntary manslaughter by New Mexico grand jury on January 19th and faces up to 3 years in prison. According to the indictment, it says the above-named defendant did cause the death of Helena Hutchins by an act committed with the total disregard or indifference to the safety of others, and the act was such that an ordinary person would anticipate that death might occur under the circumstances.
I can't see this playing out with him going to jail. I think they would do some sort of suspended sentence thing. Yeah. Or I don't know how they'd work it, but it just doesn't seem at this point that he's going to jail.
Yep. All right, on to some lighter stuff. Those are some pretty heavy stories. Travis Kelce staying focused on the Super Bowl with the NFL star's girlfriend, Taylor Swift, nominated for 6 awards at this weekend's upcoming Grammy Awards. Kelce has confirmed he won't be able to attend the annual show. It takes place on Sunday in downtown Los Angeles.
What is that?
He said in an interview, I wish I could go support Taylor at the Grammys and watch her win every single award that she's nominated for. But then he slyly added, but I think I've got practice on Sunday. The Chiefs tight end wasn't certain if his team would use Saturday as a practice day and Sunday as a travel day, but he explained that his schedule just won't allow for him to attend the show while staying focused on Kansas City's 4th Super Bowl in 5 years.
So she's flying from Tokyo to make the Super Bowl.
Well, we don't know if she is. This is all like speculation. Everyone's saying she could make it. We have no idea.
Now she's not.
I mean,
F you.
Not coming to the Grammys.
Yeah, suck it.
That's the big night of the year.
Why don't you go play with your ball?
Yeah.
Especially if it's just a travel day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But he might have to practice. So,
or he's going to pull a fast one
and show up.
Yeah,
in his uniform, full helmet and everything.
Yeah.
Would that? They should do that.
Yes.
He should sit in the audience in his full uniform, helmet, and everything, and just act like everything's normal.
Or just
love it.
Tackle a presenter from the side.
Yeah, I mean, this is the award show that Gaga showed up in covered in ham, right? Like,
Yep.
I forgot about that. The meat suit.
Yeah.
What was the character? Joey Calderon?
Calderon.
Calderon.
Joey Calderon.
Merlino, but
oh my God, Alfred Merlino.
How she's evolved.
Yeah, right.
Now she shows her face and
and
doesn't wear
dresses
meat.
elegantly. Completely different.
It was Bradley Cooper. I was working with Bradley Cooper that did it.
Fans speculated the possibility that Kelce would attend the Grammys with Swift after the Lover singer supported him at Sunday's AFC Championship win in Baltimore, and with the award show happening the weekend before the Super Bowl. Swift and Kelce did get to publicly support each other on Sunday, and their on-field celebration set the internet ablaze as they shared several kisses, and the NFL star was heard saying, I love you.
I know. Yeah. How imaginable and wonderful. I love you. Yeah. I think we are going to be treated to a massive. If he wins the Super Bowl, she's going to definitely take home some Grammys. Mm-hmm. I don't think we've even hit peak saturation yet.
Oh no! This is just the beginning.
Yeah, we just got in the elevator.
Yeah, she's going to rule this Sunday, and then the following Sunday he's going to bring it home.
Yep.
And
he'll make some type of a play that is integral to the win.
Right.
And the success story continues
it'll
on.
Explode.
And then we'll have a national celebration day, and then they'll make a holiday out of it when the day they get married. Probably.
I was just going to say I can't wait for the wedding
for the
party.
wedding.
Well, here's what I can't wait
I'm
for.
already planning what we're doing in the studio, just so you guys know.
See, I'm projecting already, Kathy.
What? We're having
All right.
a party, Preston.
to 25 years from now, their children
Oh my God, so
are going
cute.
to be
They're so cute.
they're going to be beautiful, but they're also going to be tall, athletic, and musically gifted. It is going to be. They're going to have to add another letter to EGOT.
I know.
Right? So it's going to be
S.
EGOT, right? It'll be Super Bowl champion.
EGOT.
Emmy, yeah.
I see it breaking a different way. They're going to be hanging out with Gary Lau.
No, their kids will be. You'll have one that's a Stanley Cup champion, one that's wins the Super Bowl, one that wins the World Series, and NBA championship. It'll happen. So they are. We'll see. But Steve, he might pull a fast one. You might be right. He may just show up and
It would be magical.
take everyone by surprise.
I love you.
Mm-hmm. So this was kind of fun. Dolly Parton spoke with Business Insider recently about whether Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans can expect a reboot in the future.
Dolly Parton spoke about Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yeah, she said they're still working on it. She said they're thinking about bringing it back and revamping it. Parton was a producer on the original series.
I had no idea.
That ran from 97 to 2003. And Sarah Michelle Gellar commented on this little-known fact during an appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon last year. She said, yes, little-known fact, the legend Dolly Parton was a producer. She said, we never saw her.
That's why the theme song was working 9 to 5 p.m.
She said... We never saw her, but we get Christmas gifts in the beginning that would have our name, and I would think she doesn't even know who I am. And then one day, someone asked her about it, and she complimented the show and my performance, and I was like, oh, I can die now. Dolly Parton knows who I am and thinks I'm good.
I had no idea. Massive fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I did not know she was one of the producers.
Yeah, apparently that was the
You learn
case.
stuff.
Yep. Larry David spoke with Entertainment Tonight during the premiere of the 12th and final season of Curb Your Enthusiasm in Los Angeles on Tuesday, and he confirmed that this is, in fact, the last season of the show, adding that he's tired of, quote, tired of people thinking that I'm lying. We're done. It's over. Yeah, it's over. And then he addressed the rumors that the final season would feature a Seinfeld reunion, and he said, no.
Why is there a part of me that believes that given a couple years, he may get the yearning to do 3 or 4 more, 5 more episodes?
Yeah, well, he's a hardworking dude, so I think that stands to reason. Absolutely. What else am I looking at here?
So many stories.
So many things going on.
From your sources around the globe.
Celeb world. Kristen Bell and Adam Brody were photographed filming a kissing for their new comedy series in Los Angeles on Monday, according to Just Jared. Deadline previously reported that the show centers on the unlikely relationship between an outspoken agnostic woman, who's played by her, obviously, Kristen Bell, and an unconventional rabbi played by Brody. Noah is a charming rabbi who is stuck in his ways and used to playing things safe, and he starts to stumble when he meets a brutally honest and provocative Joanne, totally upending his safe life plan.
All right, so this is a Netflix series.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Had not heard about this.
No, me either. Speaking of Netflix, Adam Sandler is about to receive a major honor just before the release of his
He's happy.
latest Netflix film. He was set to be recognized with the People's Icon. He's going to be recognized with the People's Icon Award
I am honored to be your icon.
at the 2024 People's Choice Award.
I think that would be kind of cool, though.
Yeah.
An icon. Listen, he has generated a ton of business for Netflix.
Yeah, he
They
has.
love the hell out of him.
Yeah. Simu,
He's working on a speech.
yeah. Simu will host the annual award ceremony with the event airing live on NBC and E! And streaming on Peacock as well. And he will join fellow People's Choice honoree Lenny Kravitz, who was previously announced as a recipient of this year's Music Icon Award. And he will perform at the show.
Kravitz was originally supposed to play Billy Madison.
Was
A lot
he?
of people don't know that.
Past recipients of the People's Icon Award include Ryan Reynolds, Halle Berry, Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Aniston, and Melissa McCarthy.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
I know. Lenny Kravitz.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Do.
Lenny, can we do that again with a little more?
Yeah. A
little more humor.
I'll yuck it up. Stop looking at me, Swan.
Nailed it. Got it.
Perfect.
I think we need to go in a different direction, guys.
Don't tell Lenny.
He could be one of the coolest people.
Yes.
And by cool, I mean just
You don't care.
Hot.
just good looking and smooth and suave, and whatever he says and does is just meant to be.
I'm
you
a
know?
full adult in this class full of children. Why don't you use your mouth on me, teacher?
He'd be perfect. If
Oh, he'd make it work.
Yeah. Maybe even, and then they move on to the Water Boy.
Right, yeah.
And he takes all the Sandler roles. Sandler remains
Yeah, I want to play foosball.
as busy as ever. His 2023 credits include Netflix's Murder Mystery 2, You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, and the animated feature Leo. And then he also stars alongside Carey Mulligan in director John Renk's sci-fi drama The Spaceman.
This looks interesting.
That comes out on March 1st. Yeah, I'm curious.
Seems like a kind of an isolation. And he encounters an alien life form that sort of helps him.
That speaks to him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like an octopus, the creature. Yeah.
I haven't seen the creature. I just saw the
And I think, is Paul Dano doing the voice of it?
yeah, I saw the tease where they just have him receiving a message from the creature. So that's interesting. All right, Kim Kardashian. I swear, I never.
Dude, you had a good long run.
I know, but I never in my life thought that I would have anything in common with her, and I do.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up.
Okay, thank you.
Kimmy's very wonderful little young lady.
Thank you, Captain Caitlin.
Thank you.
So Kim took to her Instagram stories on Tuesday to let fans.
Hold just 1 second. We have a malfunction button on the shuttle bay doors. You gonna get that? Thank you.
Fix that. All right, so she took to Instagram stories on Tuesday to let her fans in on her struggles with psoriasis,
Yeah.
which I have.
Yeah.
And she shared some photos of her latest flare-up. So I took a peek at the little video, and of course she's like, "Oh my God, I don't know what's happening." You know, the voice is happening.
Yeah.
But she does have a pretty big patch on her leg. Now it's a red rash. It's not the plaque-covered psoriasis, which I get from time to time, which is that white, flaky, dead skin. And what happens is your body, your immune system thinks something bad happened to that area of your body for whatever reason. It's a malfunction of sorts, like the door on the Jenner-sphere.
Right.
And then so it overproduces skin cells, and it says, hey, there's been a trauma here. We need to repair this. And it overproduces skin cells, and then you end up with this flaky, too many skin cell thing that happens. So she is showing a picture of it. It's a big red patch on her leg. And she wrote, "How crazy is my psoriasis right now, guys? It's like all up my leg." She even wrote, it's like all up my leg.
I know. Come on, when you're writing like.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening, but I got to figure this out. This is crazy. She had a, not going to lie, this is painful.
She claimed it looked like a heart, and I didn't see a heart
I
in
didn't
that.
see the heart either. Not sure what my triggers are. I haven't changed my diet. I've tried everything, and she said psoriasis sucks.
Do you have any triggers for yours?
Not any. No,
Or is it just random?
It's actually worse in wintertime.
Is it because of the dry conditions?
No,
Dry heat?
because your body isn't as exposed to ultraviolet light, to the sun. So the sun actually helps counteract that. There are light therapies that you can do for psoriasis, but I use topical steroids for it. Shout out to my dermatologist, Dr. Jamie Altman, who I'm going to see today.
He's a good man.
For my annual visit. Casey and I both go to Dr. Altman.
What are the light therapies? Do you know?
I've never done it. But they essentially, Kathy, they put you in like a booth where they shine a very specific light on that area for a certain amount of time.
We've talked about the healing properties of light and like ultraviolet light and hair restoration and other things.
Yeah. So she's trying to figure out what's up with her psoriasis. So
What's up with that?
I don't know what to do. All right, and then the last story I have for you is actress Elizabeth Moss is expecting her first child. The Handmaid's Tale star shared the news with Jimmy Kimmel on Tuesday night.
Gosh, that's great news, Preston.
Reach?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
she's, The Handmaid's Tale. And she was in that Invisible Man movie that was actually really good.
I never saw it.
Really good.
Yeah, I heard it was really good.
It's Lee Waddell.
She does. So I love Handmaid's Tale. It's one of my absolute favorite TV shows. And she's great in it. But she does this thing that I have a little pet peeve with. And she does what I call a half blink.
Yeah.
where her eyes will start to close, but not close all the way.
Right.
Wait, I'm like trying to do it.
It's hard to do. She does it when like she's feeling psychotic, like she's at her breaking point, and the character,
Right,
and she'll start to blink, and the eyes won't close all the way, and she does it over and
I
over
have
and
to see
over
this
again.
now.
So
And once you notice
you
it,
know
you
you-
can't unsee
Oh
it.
no, yeah, she's really good at that movie, and it turns out she's always been in such dour things, and you see her, and you see her interviewed, and she's pretty
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
She's got a good sense of humor.
She is a tiny little thing too,
really?
man. She's like she looks to the other characters, at least on A Handmaid's Tale, like she's 5'2".
She was married to Fred Armisen, and
Yeah.
she basically said, I had to leave him because he has no soul, and like Fred Armisen commented, goes, she's kind of right. I thought it was pretty wild that he would say that. Yeah, she's kind of right.
She went on to say that she's been really lucky during her pregnancy journey, adding it's been going really well. And she asked Jimmy for advice, and he was reminded of advice that he and his wife, Molly, received from Bill Murray when she was expecting one of their children. And Jimmy said, bring Christmas lights to hang up in the delivery room. He added that Murray also suggested bringing in battery-powered candles. He said, because the lighting is terrible in the room. It's Walmart-style lighting for this blessed event that's going to happen, and you don't want that. That is the strangest advice I've ever heard.
I could see, though, isn't that kind of the big thing when you were talking about when you had your kids, Preston, and the special rooms, and they try to make it a very comforting, recognizable atmosphere. I think mood lighting would assist, right?
Yeah, but it was. But they also want it nice and bright,
Right.
Because the doctor's got to see what's going on. So
Does he?
I don't remember. I don't remember it being dimly lit.
Okay.
In any of our.
Could they wear like miners' helmets? With
That's
the
what
lights?
I was
Yeah.
thinking. I actually had an idea for Steve. It's bizarre that you said that. I actually wrote down minor helmet earlier, and that's strange that you just mentioned that. I'll tell you my idea later on with a minor helmet.
Circling back to the Fred Armisen relationship, Steve, you know what's kind of odd about all of that is that she's a Scientologist and Fred Armisen is an atheist. And how does that work?
Maybe that was an issue. Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be together with somebody for that amount of time and you have such diametrically opposed beliefs about religion or whatever Scientology is, I don't know. It's just bizarre.
That would be weird because he would go, all right, listen, I don't believe in the Christian God, okay? But this is nuts. What you're
The volcanoes and the thing. That's that. Oh, wow.
Or
sign me up.
Is Scientology more acceptable to an atheist?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Well, you might get to meet Tom Cruise.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
at the annual Scientology mixer.
LRH.
I would, Preston, on the miners' helmets hat thing. I bought a cap from the True Value, Nick. You're a big fan as well. And it has a light on the front of it. I got to get this. I use that thing all the damn time.
Do you really?
Having a light on the front of your hat when you're walking around at night.
Is it like a hiking helmet? A hiking lamp?
Well, no, it's basically, you've seen these thin ones where you can kind of stick them on the wall and you press.
Yeah.
And that's what's on the front of it. So
Okay.
you push almost like Dr. Manhattan, Preston. And it illuminates.
I'll tell you a goofy little thing that we got as a stocking stuffer last year that I use from time to time. You put it on your hand, okay? It fits over your index finger and your thumb, and they have lights on there, little LED
great.
flashlights.
That's cool.
And it's if you're trying to get into behind the TV,
Yeah.
find that plug.
You can't hold a light.
Oh.
And so
that's
it's
awesome.
right on your fingers. It is.
That's so cool.
So cool. I'll bring it in sometime.
Yeah.
Show
Yes,
it to
we
you guys.
do.
It's great.
We have a finger light and miner's helmet party.
All right.
Can I bring up my
only
light up
gonna be a good
shoes? I mean,
Yeah.
anything that lights up.
I like
Good?
light up shoes.
All right,
Those are cool. Yeah, Steve, I got a hiker's helmet with a headlamp on it, and I love it. And I use it even when I'm not hiking.
It's awesome, Nick. So when at night, if I go out with the dog and walk the dog in the backyard, I know where she's taking a dump, and I can pick it up immediately.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's great for finding poop.
Oh, and Elizabeth Moss didn't have any further details about when her baby is due. Just to follow up.
She mentioned who the father is, Preston?
No, she didn't mention that either. So I have no idea. All right, let's do the clips now. Leah McKendrick was a single 34-year-old woman deciding to freeze her eggs and feeling lost and alone during the process. And here, the writer and director talks about turning her own empowering journey into a new comedy called Scrambled. Here we go.
Where is the movie that speaks to what I'm experiencing. And all the movies about fertility were like a couple, in their 40s or 50s trying to get pregnant. And I was like, I'm looking at you as a partnership, like holding each other. Who's holding me? No one's holding me. I was so proud of myself. I did this on my own.
Shut the up, huh?
Scrambled opens in theaters this Friday.
Did this on my own.
Here's the next clip. Every week on Pressure Luck, 3 contestants compete for life-changing cash and prizes by trying to avoid the devilish whammy. And here, Elizabeth Banks talks about the thrill of hosting the classic game show reboot.
We've really leaned into our contestants in the way that we delve into their story, and then we have these incredible personalized prizes. It's one of the things that really drew me into this version of it was a really emotional, exciting journey for people and start to understand how the show and the experience would change or affect their lives. That's what's really the privilege of making the show.
You suck my and shut the up.
I will tell you this about this show. They've got the biggest prizes on Press Your Luck. I mean, they were giving away 2 BMWs.
Yeah.
2!
Yeah,
at the same time.
They have awesome trips, big cash prizes. It's a solid show for winning good stuff for sure.
On a show that I could not detect any redeeming attribute. I Can See Your Voice. I watched a bit of that last night.
All right.
Holy hell.
And that is, they take a look at someone and just by their appearance alone, they try to figure out whether or not they're a good singer.
That's what I thought. So they come out and they're either lip singing to music or they're actually singing. So everyone leans forward to see if they can detect.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's what it is. And they try to determine. So they're all dressed as different occupations. Like one looked like a pro Frisbee player. And then they all vote and they're all like, and they cut the shots in the audience of people like home with their hands buried in their face buried in their hands. Like, oh my God, what's it going to be?
Yeah.
And then, so they make the decision, Preston, and then they ramp up to a song. And then, and then the singer will go, if they're bad, no, I wanna. And everyone goes, oh, it was not a singer.
They can't sing.
And then, wow.
Really dumb?
Incredibly dumb.
And they make it so tense, the music.
Oh
like-
my God, it's ridiculous.
Well, then I'm glad I don't
Who are
watch it.
some of the judges? The guests?
They had
Anybody?
from Curb Your Enthusiasm, Cheryl
Hines.
and they
Arsenio Hall, I saw.
Yeah.
John Lovitz was one of the judges, one of the guessers.
Really?
Yeah, John Lovitz, who was actually pretty funny. Ken Jeong is the host.
From 98 Degrees, what's his name?
Nick Lachey.
Nick Lachey is one of the judges.
Jesus Christ. I mean, it's just
How is Ken Jeong as a host? Because I
annoying. And I like Ken Jeong. I do, but I mean, just, he picked up some bad habits on The Masked Singer.
Bizarrely, there's an audience for these shows.
I know.
It's weird, but some people like it. All right, we're probably talking to some of those people right now. All right, well, anyhow, that's the entertainment report for today. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back in a moment. We actually, I can see daylight.
Yeah.
We actually have only partly cloudy skies today. It's going to revive you. If you've been down, it's going to revive you. Hopefully it will. We'll see. Next couple of days, we have some sunshine. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Preston and Steve.
That's your traffic on 93.3 WMMR.
All right, thank you, Kathy. So everybody's talking about this beheading that took place in Levittown. The story hit Tuesday evening and Wednesday morning, and this guy Justin Moan. If you're not familiar with the story, you can do a quick search on it. It's all over the place. It was on the national news last night.
Yeah.
And you know what's weird is I had said at the beginning of the week, maybe Monday. Because in the bizarre file, I had another story of a head found in a freezer. And I'm like, there have been a lot of decapitation stories lately that have surfaced. And I still have a couple of more. My bizarre file, the actual physical file that I have here of stuff is thick. There's a lot of stories in here. And I've got a couple more beheading stories in here.
Is this a TikTok thing?
No, I don't think it's a TikTok thing. But the thing that really stands out about this is the fact that the guy took his own father's severed head, made a video. All these other stories I have are people who are trying to hide the crime, trying to get away with the crime
and stuff.
This guy takes his his own dad's decapitated head in a video on YouTube, shows it, says all these horrible things about this, his dad. And it's beyond gruesome, number one, but demented at the fact that this guy is making some kind of a bizarre statement by killing his own father and displaying this to the world, and it's 10 levels of effort.
So he was all over the place. He was claiming he was president briefly, too, for, so all this was going on. But yeah, Preston, there is, I did not see the video, but there was a captured still of him, again, holding
blurred.
the head right up in front of him.
Like
and
it doesn't-
this was his father.
It's like it doesn't look real.
No, I know. I know.
So the head, it was in a plastic bag, and he had gloves on. He was holding it up, and then apparently they found it in like a pot, and like stove pot.
And basically, the demeanor on his face is if he's teaching you how to use a crock pot. Like it's just a tutorial,
And looking at the photos of this guy, and we're going to talk to a friend of ours who lives right around the corner. The photos of him, he just looks like an average dude.
Regular dude. Didn't quite hold up to my theory that you can kind of see. He looked like he looks, like a regular guy.
Just like a normal person you wouldn't pay too much attention to. Yet, stories are surfacing of people in that general area were saying, oh, we knew who this guy was. And he was showing some pretty strange behavior. Whether or not that telegraphed this guy's going to snap and do something crazy or not, I don't know. But he was certainly well known. So our own Pancake is on our Xfinity mobile guest line because
he's friends with him. No, I'm just kidding.
He used to sit for him.
He was your buddy, right, Pancake?
Yeah. He lives right around the corner.
No, but you live in that area, right?
I do. I actually I've seen him dozens of times. I would see him on the corner. He the bus stop for my children is right there.
Oh my God!
Right,
so the area he would loiter in. You were kind of saying this yesterday. It was kind of right adjacent to the bus stop.
Yeah, the house was right at the bus stop, and there was another street in between our house and the bus stop. And I would see him sort of after school. It was never during, never when the kids were on the way to the bus stop.
Right.
When I'd be on my way back from work or from home to work, I'd see him on a corner that wasn't necessarily his corner, and I sort of know all the dads that are in the area. It's Levittown, and it's the Middletown section of Levittown. We wave to people even if we don't know you.
Right.
So if you don't wave, it's like, oh, that was a little bit weird. So, yeah, I would, drive by and sort of never even get a look or a hello. And,
right.
I didn't even know who he was, to be honest. I kind of thought he was transient or something like that, because I would only see him sort of walking through, but never got any, connection or anything.
There was a gentleman on the news this morning, Pancake, who was saying that he would stand and stare at his house. And this guy's probably a neighbor of yours. He's right down the street. But you also said you would see him like packing like a pot pipe or whatever right out in the open on the corner.
Yeah, right. It would be sort of on the corner under a street light in the middle of the morning, and it's the suburbs. Go to your backyard or the woods or something. It's, like the rest of the people
in the neighborhood.
Yeah, right. Or ask a neighbor. I'm sure they'd want to, maybe. But I just never really got any good vibes. It was a little bit strange.
Yeah.
Pancake, did they move the kids' bus stop?
They did not.
Which is surprising because I'm sure there was a lot of police activity there yesterday.
There was. My kids don't ride the bus, but that is their bus stop. I had friends that were there yesterday to pick their kids up after school, and a dozen news vehicles and all this stuff. I woke up yesterday to helicopters. We are in the smallest little section of Levittown that there is. There's no reason to even cut through here unless you live here. So helicopters, and I actually drove past as she must have just made the call, because I saw that she called about a little bit after 7 o'clock, and I was going to the record company show a couple nights ago, and just a couple of police officers were there, and then a few more, and then within a short time after that, we started hearing through the neighbors that they're looking for someone. It's a young guy, this and that. And by the time I made it to the show, less than an hour later, it it was pretty evident that it was pretty scary and more than just,
Yeah. By the way, if anybody listening knew this guy or is in that area and saw him in and about or has anybody, because I got some texts when we first brought this up in the news.
Yeah.
And so a couple people had him on their Ring camera and stuff like that.
Wow.
215-263-WMMR is the number.
So, Pancake, did you discuss this guy with the neighbors often? Did they relay stories to you?
There were a couple of incidents. I just sort of got a little bit of a weird vibe from him. I didn't know where he was from. I didn't know why he was on that corner. I didn't know why he was smoking pot in the middle of the street. So there's a police officer who lives around the corner. I'm saying, just keep an eye out. I don't know who he is. I don't know why he's here. I don't know, if he's planning on, breaking into houses or anything like that. And I had no idea. So I'm not trying to, push an agenda on someone to look at this guy, but it just seemed a little bit strange. So, the neighbors were aware of him and a few of them had seen him around, but nobody really knew anything. I just, saw a friend yesterday that said that, he knew him in high school and his brother was really great friends with him and such a
He sounded
nice
decapitating.
guy. Could not believe any of this stuff.
No kidding.
No, of course. It's interesting because we were talking during our conference call last night, and there'll be these people in neighborhoods, and Preston said earlier, sometimes you have the person who's just the goofy neighbor who is, walking around in a raincoat when the sun's out or whatever, and that's about as far as it gets. Mm-hmm. This is other level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this will definitely shake the neighborhood. It's strange as a parent. I have a 10 and an 8-year-old. Explaining to them, it's a tough thing to do as a parent because you don't know what to say. They're kids. My oldest is in middle school. I remember being in middle school. You find things out that your parents don't know that you know. You know?
Yeah.
The chance of the kids in middle school not finding the videos pretty slim. You know, that we had already heard yesterday that kids had found it and were working on it. And it's, at having a 10-year-old in a middle school, that's not something that she is prepared for. That's not something that I was prepared for.
I remember when my kids were little, and we're talking like 6, 7, 8 years old or whatever, and they would see things on television about, if I was watching the news and they would say there was a police are looking for, this criminal, this killer, or whatever, they would get scared. And I'm like, that's over 100 miles away. We're okay, kids, don't worry about it. But they would get legitimately scared of it. Imagine your kid's in this neighborhood and the word gets around that this dude cut his own dad's head off right down the street from your house. That's got to scare the living daylights out of them.
What you say to your kids, Preston? Your bigger concern is we live near a prison.
Yeah. I don't think I told him that. But that's, wow, man.
That's something.
Has there been like a neighborhood chat going on? Are you on any neighborhood groups or anything like that on Facebook?
I'm not big on the internet.
Yeah, me either.
There were some group texts going around when it first happened to let people know. I'm also not big on group text. But now there's, it was very helpful because no one had any idea, and it was just helpful to let people know what was going on.
Right in your backyard.
Yes, I mean, seriously, I could see the lights from the forensic unit from my bedroom window. So,
wow.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, that's right in the neighborhood, man. Man, all right. Well, thank you, Pancake. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, you guys got it.
All right, we'll see you later on today. Man, that's wild. That would scare the hell out of me. Hang on, we have a guy on the line. This is Mark, who went to high school with him. Hey, Mark. Morning, bud.
Hello.
Hey, you're on the air, man.
Marco.
Okay.
Polo.
Never heard that before, have you?
Yeah, sure that's new for you.
He said it twice.
That's the story of my childhood right there, Marco Polo. Right?
All right, so this guy, Justin, you went to high school with him?
I'm still processing a lot of this right now, but not that I just only go to high school with them, and I'm sure a lot of people listening who know went to high school with them, but I spent a lot of time with them actually. when he was a senior in his high school year and junior. And I mean, I don't know how much detail I want to go into our relationship.
Were you
but
guys in the same grade?
no, he was a year older than I am.
Okay. All right. And you kind of became friends, close enough to where you hung out together.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time. I will say, I mean, I'm not ashamed of saying this, but we spent a lot of time using cannabis together in a very recreational, productive way, not in a way that was we weren't being any,
You weren't selling it. You weren't.
No, but we were close in that way, and I've been in his house. I've had dinner with his parents.
Oh, wow. So the obvious question, Marco, is, and the answer would obviously be that you didn't see signs. You wouldn't be having dinner or hanging out with somebody. Yeah. But now looking back in retrospect, is there anything that you said, wow?
I will put it like this. Justin was known to be a character, and not in a way where you would think like he was actually the most harmless type of character. He was a big goofball, and he would do a lot of things that were odd, but he had a very expanded mind. I mean, anyone that was in the same grade as him would tell you that he was a very intellectual individual. He was very into like his physical body. He was an odd dude, but he was a kind soul. But I could tell if anyone who would see this coming at this point would say, wow, like I could see maybe like something could have happened to him in his mind. And I think this is like a point of reflection for people to realize like people's mental health and how maybe there could have been a point of psychosis or some sort of mental breakdown in his college years. When people who go through schizophrenia or something like that onsets in the later years, I could definitely see something like that, because I think there were signs. I mean, this was after college and I didn't really speak to him. I haven't probably spoken to him in maybe 10 years, but on social media, I would see throughout the past, I mean, this is maybe like 6 years ago, I really noticed, but like, he's putting out really weird shit. I mean, it was tough.
You can't say SHI.
I'm sorry. I'm
putting out really. He was so about 6 years ago. He started putting out some really weird stuff on social media. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty. It was to the point where like you'd question like, okay, like is he sane?
Right.
And it was kind of to the point where you would question like, and maybe he should be getting some help, or maybe someone should be. It was all about government and conspiracies, and he was writing these books. And I actually like started reading one of his books, and I was like, wow, this is just odd. And I really didn't think twice about it, because I mean, I was like, I'm probably never going to see him again.
Like, okay, so by odd, like rambling or dark, violent. What are we talking?
It was more about the actual content within the books.
Okay.
And I don't really know much about, because I didn't really feel like reading all those things.
Right, at a certain
really,
point.
Like, it was kind of getting out there, but
you didn't join his Book of the Month club.
No, but just kind of going back to like who he was as a person in high school. I mean, yeah, he was a character, and he was kind, and he's a good soul. But I could tell like if a mind that is that expanded, and they maybe a little off, and maybe goes through a psychotic breakdown.
Right.
Yeah, well, you're very astute to say that, because that we do forget. I mean, in all of us, there is the potential, depending on life experience or something that might happen. You don't know what makes somebody like. Maybe he was. The thing is, he's on video, holding his father's hand. So it's not like we don't have to say alleged at this point.
Seriously.
Right. But this is the kind of thing that you think you would put money on his college experience, whatever happened to him, flicking the switch then.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? He was maybe using different types of substances or drugs, or maybe his mental, I mean, I'm not surprised after seeing what was being put out there throughout those years. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, wow. And it was really, I'm still processing a lot of this, because my friend literally called me like the other night at like 12 o'clock, and I woke up to this text in this article. I'm like, wow, I really knew this kid intimately. So
what was his father like? I assume you knew him as well.
I really don't remember much about his father. I do remember his mother, which I really feel bad for. I mean, I can only imagine.
God, it's going to be a nightmare.
She found the body.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, she was very, you know, just a very passive person and not very, you know, when I remember meeting her, she was welcoming to me and everything like that, but I don't really remember much about the father. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure, and there's probably plenty of his friends that are hearing about this guy could talk more clearly about, you know, his family. But
well, Marco, you mentioned your friend texting you, and they obviously knew who this guy was too, or maybe knew him as well. Have you talked to other people that knew him and
yeah, I talked to just a few of my friends who were my close circle that we would all hang out and we would be around Justin at the same time. And yeah, I mean, we're all just kind of like, I mean, knowing his mind of the person, like, again, he was a very high intellectual type of person. Right. And we're like, yeah, you know, I mean, he would do goofy stuff, but nothing that would make you question, like, he would be psychotic.
Yeah.
Why did you guys stop hanging out? I mean, I assume that there was no one reason, but it was at college.
They went to college.
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah, it was just you know, I started living my life, and he was in his life. I think he went to Penn State, and yeah, I mean, just kind of separating, and I just started doing my life thing. We weren't that close. I mean, we were friends, but like we were more just like kind of get together friends, and you know, nothing really that intimate, but not like a best friend or anything, but more of like, we were around, we would spend some time together.
Yeah, well, it's kind of odd because obviously this is such a residential, and every area, that a very common sort of suburban setup, and I think that's what's freaking people out. And as you said, I'm sure you and your friends and people in this circle will be processing this for quite a while. So, yeah. Pretty wild. It's just unbelievable.
I can't imagine. Like if there was an old acquaintance of mine that all of a sudden you see snapped in the biggest way they could possibly snap, I'd be like dumbfounded by that.
It's like, and again, I was talking about this to my wife last night, and it's just like the fact that like murdering somebody's one thing, but then the fact that like beheading somebody and then putting that on, like, that's just another level of
going on YouTube. I mean, you've Preston has rightly pointed out over the past a couple of days, these people who have done the beheading attempt to hide the head and the body, and this you don't hop on your YouTube account. You know, I mean,
there's several levels.
Yes, just unbelievable.
And I really hope they really go into like his books that he was writing and like go back to all this content that he was putting out there, because I mean, I really think there were signs of some like a serious psychotic breakdown.
I'm sure there was.
I don't know the story. I don't know if his parents were trying to help him with his mental health, and you know, who knows? But like none of the things that he's really talking about were really making any sense. It just seems
of course. I mean, he'd had that break, and that, you know, I'm sure it wouldn't pass the smell test. But wow, man, just amazing. It's your memories though. It's interesting to hear that as well. That. You know, it was actually kind of okay to hang out with, and there didn't seem to be anything that was that horrifying, and then to have it go so south is amazing.
No, I mean, look, I mean, we avidly used, you know, marijuana and cannabis, and I don't think that was in a way of like inducing anything at that time of that age, and like we were kind of like at points, you know, cannabis user. I would say he was more like people would know him as like a pothead. So I don't know if that creates any, you know, reflection of like how that could develop, but I don't really think it was in a way where it was never actually in a way that was or destructive. He was just literally a goofy dude, and you would like scratch your head on him like, oh, that's Justin Moan, and he would be a goofball. But
Marco, you know, you raised the cannabis thing, and there was a story we talked about it. I think you had it in the Bizarre File, or at least somehow we were talking about it. This woman who had stabbed and murdered.
Yeah, he stabbed her boyfriend 108 times.
Right.
They got her off the hook.
Yeah, and because she was under the influence of cannabis.
Yeah, and you know what? I like Marco said earlier. You don't know. You know, you don't know if it was drugs. You don't know if it was mental health. But I mean, drugs are like what they can do to people. You know, beyond. Well, I'm not talking about cannabis, but beyond that. And I don't know that this is what Justin Moan did, but like the things that drugs can do to your mind, or just mental health issues and not getting treated and not getting help for it? I mean,
yeah, I will touch on that real quick because I am an advocate for what we call plant medicine, and I do work in the world of psychedelics and advocate for like the positive things for mental health. But I think what we are educated about in this circle is like there are people that we have to be mindful of when it comes to the substances, and that comes to altering your states of consciousness, because some people mentally are already so far out there, and when you have already preconceived mental things, for example, schizophrenia or something that's psychotic, like those substances aren't necessarily doing a good thing. They could be making it worse.
They can exacerbate an issue that's existing and bring it to the front. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah.
And
okay.
It's I feel like there's so many layers to be unfolded with this of exactly, I don't think like interview. I don't know what would come to in terms of like talking to him, people what they'll get out of that. But
it just happened right now, so I guess we'll see a lot of that. But interesting take on all this, Marco.
Wow. All right, thank you, Marco.
That helps. Sorry about the cursing earlier.
No, it's all right, man. Listen, you got a lot going on in your head right now, dude. There's
hey,
I can't even imagine.
How exciting to know you live near Pancake.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, fellas.
All right. Thanks, Marco.
Bye-bye.
Wow. So imagine somebody that at one point in time was a close friend of yours, and then we all have loads of people like that in our lives, and then an event pops up, and you're like, oh my God, that was so and so. Oh my God.
So there, not on this level, but there was a guy I was friends with. This was in East Northport, Long Island, and regular suburb. Preston, between the end of one year and they coming back to school the next year, he came back super jacked and looked totally different. And within about 6 months of the beginning of school, he became the classic. And the reason why I said raincoat is that's what he would do. He walked around all day, just completely fell out of school with the raincoat on and a tennis racket. So he walking with the tennis racket and the raincoat. That was the thing. And the guy had been kind of cool and nice. But you look back now in the context of what we're learning about how the mind works and what could happen, that it could have happened like that, and it may have just been sitting there under the surface. I don't know what would have had that switch, but it clearly did.
Yeah, maybe schizophrenia or something.
Yes.
Things like that can happen later in life. You had mentioned, and this is totally separate from a guy who cuts his dad's head off, but Amanda Bynes, who had a great career and everything was going wonderful, and then something switched, and then now she can't really take care of herself. Right. Or can't be trusted to take care of herself.
My uncle was a paranoid schizophrenic, and my dad had to deal with that for their adult lives because he was not, he was, quote unquote, a relatively normal kid. And then he turned 19, 20 years old, and his entire outlook on life shifted, and it shifted because the chemistry in his brain shifted in a way that was not treated properly. So not only was he paranoid schizophrenic, but he wasn't treated for it ever. His parents, my grandparents, denied it and didn't want to deal with it.
Oh, man.
I hope not to be insensitive, but
he passed away a few years ago, so it's okay to talk. Really.
Framing that way, when you're living with somebody like that, did you get the sense that there was a sense of fear about what might happen with?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And listen, Steve, my brothers and I were kids when he would come around, and it was just, even when you're a kid and your gut instinct says something's off, right? You know that something's off. And my poor father had to deal with his brother being this way. So it was hard on my mom, it was hard on my dad, and my uncle's parents, my grandparents, didn't want to even acknowledge that there was a mental health condition. So, look, I have sympathy for anyone who has to deal with this on any level. If you're a family member, and obviously this is an extreme and awful and horrible case, and if there are violent tendencies, or you've been radicalized or whatever, drug use, whatever might have contributed to this gentleman, this person, shouldn't say gentleman, doing what he did.
Man about town.
But I don't know, just to put a bow in it, my uncle would look at stoplights and think that they were talking to him.
Oh, wow.
And they were being programmed by the government.
Wow. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Nuts. I remember a few years ago out in my area, there was a guy went around with a samurai sword, and started hacking people up.
Ooh.
It was weird. Yeah, I went from
This was in St. Louis?
No, it was in Harleysville, Lansdale, in that area. I remember, and I met one of the guys. They had a fundraiser for a guy who he lost like a lot of his fingers on his hand because this guy cut him off with a samurai sword. And this guy went from place to place. I forgot. I need to go back and look at that story. But that, I didn't know the guy, I didn't know anybody, but it was in my general area,
Sure. Yeah.
kind of way out in the burbs there. And I was like, this is scary
the
stuff.
perception is you're moving out there because you're getting away from it and you're safer and you get your family out there where, you can roam around with the samurai sword.
No, there's nut
That
jobs
big place.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you live.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes it's the rural places where you can set up a pit in your basement and collect death's head moths.
Well, remember the guy out there? Sorry, the guy also out that way who had dug a hole and buried them, burnt them and buried them on his family's farm.
Yes,
or family's property.
There were like 8. In fact, those were. I think the mechanism was he would pretend to be selling them drugs, right?
He was. I think it was 4 people, and I think they all went over together, and him and his cousin, or him, killed them.
And you remember we were just talking to M. Night Shyamalan about The Village.
The Village.
You think you're in this safe haven.
Right.
One last call. This is a little intense, but I'll go to Sarah here. Hi, Sarah. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, well, you're awfully cheery for talking about this horrible story.
I'm driving to work, so of course I have to be cheery.
I got you.
Yes, but we appreciate that.
All right, Sarah, what's your kind of connection to this?
So my coworker, she actually lives on that same street, and she was driving her daughter to basketball practice, and she heard the wife scream.
Oh my God.
And and it was like that fight or flight instinct in her head, and she was just like, that does not sound good. And as she was driving her daughter, she saw 1 cop car, 2 cop car, 3 cop car, 4 cop car, an ambulance, and
And she decided to get out of there, I'm sure, with her kid.
Well, and she said then when she was at the practice, then the text messages started to come in, and then it was not a good situation.
What she should do is let her daughter know if there's ever trouble in town, go to Pancake's house.
Yes.
That's the way.
Please.
Have you ever, Preston, have you ever heard
Thank you, by the
someone?
way.
I'm trying to think if I ever heard
That
Someone scream out of fear,
a scream, like a.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard it?
I don't know, but I know what you're
You know what I'm
talking
talking
about.
about.
Like when
Where it
someone
becomes-
finds out, somebody
that's
lost
real.
a child.
That's
or,
a real scream.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man.
Yeah. One time I thought I was hearing it, and it turned out to be a coyote.
Oh.
Yeah. Or like a
fox.
A fox.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw a fox
I've
on the
heard
way
that
to
at
work
night.
this morning.
I'm sorry, Nick.
No,
what?
I'm sorry. I just saw
That's
a
right. You
fox.
saw a fox.
No,
I saw a fox.
you're part of the conversation too. You saw a fox.
Actually, I meant to tell Steve when I first got here, and then it just came into my brain and out my mouth now. When I was driving up Belmont and across the street.
Well, I beat you to the punch. I told you I had 1 hour of sleep last night,
God, man.
and that overrode your.
I saw a llama on the way into work.
Oh my God! It was fending off a fox attack.
It's still there.
Yeah.
It won't leave.
I know. It's there every morning, the llama.
There's a rock and a road cone sitting next to each other, and in the dark, it looks like a llama
looks like
sitting
a
on the
llama.
ground. Kathy was the first to notice it, and I can't unsee it now.
Right near that llama, that's where the fox was crossing the street in Belmont.
Well,
They were
a fox will sound like a woman screaming.
Yeah. And I have heard it and been, when I didn't know what it was, I was kind of terrified by that. I'm like, I remember looking at my watch going, what time is this? So if the police ever come by, then I can say that 11:05 p.m. I heard a woman screaming.
I hear you're ready to start blabbing at the cops.
All right. Well, anyhow, it is a super messed up story. It's national news. It's all over the place. And it happened right in our backyard here, literally in Pancake's backyard, which is just wild. So thought it was worth bringing up and discussing for a little bit. So thank you everybody for your calls. I appreciate it. We can't go to everybody on the line right now. We do have to take a break. So we're going to do that, come back in a moment. And if that all wasn't weird enough, we have Bizarre File stories that are on the way next. So stay with us.
Traffic on 93.3 WMMR.
Thanks, Kath. If you guys don't mind, I think that after the Bizarre File, we should make a major announcement.
Oh, yes.
I think we can do that. Yeah. So I think you should stick through the Bizarre File because we have some information that you might like. All right, we're going to do this now. Here we go.
WMMR. presents Preston and Steve's Bizarre File.
Brought to you by Helium Comedy Club, bringing the laughs to Philly for many years. Helium Comedy has the best comics of today and tomorrow live every week. Tickets and lineup at heliumcomedy.com. All right, we'll start with this. A naked woman wielding a sharp-edged vegetable peeler threatened convenience store workers and destroyed a Red Bull display.
No!
And then she pleasured herself in front of sheriff's deputies.
So what's the worst part of that story?
Before being taken into custody on a variety of criminal charges.
It's the pleasuring.
Investigators allege that Celia Barrett caused a drunken disturbance Sunday evening at a convenience store called the Racetrack in St. Petersburg, Florida. Well, I was just there last week.
There you go.
Upon arriving sans clothes at the store, Barrett began yelling about being trespassed from the business the prior day. And on Saturday, police warned Barrett that she would be subject to arrest if she returned to the racetrack. After Barrett, peeler in hand, showed up at the store, she threatened two workers, one of whom told the police that Barrett said she would kill them. Barrett proceeded to topple and break a display of Red Bull energy drinks and spill cigarettes from a carton that she's tore open.
Cigarettes.
When officers arrived at the racetrack, Barrett was still inside and still naked, and prior to being taken into custody, Barrett began pleasuring herself in front of deputies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Barrett reportedly admitted to being intoxicated and said she had consumed approximately 6 shots of liquor. Charged with aggravated assault, disorderly intoxication, trespass, criminal mischief, and exposure of sexual organs. Barrett is being held in the county jail.
That seems pretty unhinged for just 6 shots, right?
You can get pretty lit up if you just do them in a row. Yeah.
Right.
So her extensive rap sheet includes convictions for battery, prostitution, criminal mischief, and narcotics possession.
No misuse of a vegetable peeler?
Not in that particular set of charges, no. All right. This is in England, a senior anesthetist fell asleep in an operating theater during surgery, a medical tribunal heard. Thomas Herbst, a 61-year-old consultant, nodded off moments after he anesthetized a patient for a shoulder arthroscopy procedure.
Oh, dear, I had the hose in the wrong way.
A misconduct hearing heard how Dr. Herbst was said to be in such a deep sleep that a colleague had to repeatedly tap him on the shoulder to wake him up. When asked if he was fit for work, Dr. Herbst drank a cup of black coffee and insisted he was fine, but began speaking incoherently and repeating himself to colleagues.
It's the dude handling the anesthesia.
Yeah. Later outside,
I can do it.
Outside of a changing room, he was said to have struggled to complete a timesheet while his scrub pants kept falling off without him noticing.
Stupid jerks wouldn't let me do the anesthesia.
Dr. Herbst initially denied falling asleep, but later admitted that he may have closed his eyes, been daydreaming, or, quote, slightly snoozing.
That's none of that do you want.
By the way, he had previously been given a warning for falling asleep in a theater in 2020 as another colleague was completing an operation.
But I'm so tired.
He claimed that he was tired on the day of the operation after spending most of the previous evening completing his tax returns. So.
I can't find my wallet. Can you open him up again?
A patient was arrested after lifting his gown and, quote, jiggling his genitals while standing at the entrance of UF Health, The Villages hospital in Florida. Darren Malinsky had been discharged from the hospital, but was still wearing his gown when he was standing at the entrance on Saturday.
Say hi to the balls.
He lifted his gown, showing his penis and testicles, and was asking passersby to, quote, check his balls.
Okay. Check out my balls.
I don't know if it's even check them out or check them, as in, can you medically...
A co-check.
Yeah. He was seeking opinions as to whether they appeared to be swollen or not.
Okay, so he's looking for medical advice.
Yeah.
You're right.
A woman
Does this look right to you?
Who was visiting the hospital was among those whom Malinsky exposed himself to.
And can you look, is that a pimple on my rectum?
Some of the witnesses interviewed by deputies said Malinsky, who stands 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighs 230 pounds, was, quote, jiggling his genitals when he lifted the gown.
I'm just asking for a little medical attention.
Can you jiggle those
balls are perfect.
Yeah. Can you jiggle those for me, please?
Yeah, sure.
The arrest report, you know when Dr. Mike asks you to jiggle your balls for me.
Yeah, and put lipstick on.
The arrest report listed Malinsky as homeless, but records indicate he previously lived with his 85-year-old father in the Villages.
Could you mush your knockers together?
He was arrested on a charge of indecent exposure. A Pizza Hut location in Northern Ontario has gone viral, not for its pizza or specials, but rather for an unfortunate typo. Last week, the Pizza Hut location in Timmins, Ontario, closed its doors at the last minute and posted a sign about the unforeseen circumcisions on the door.
Sometimes they just happen at a pizza place.
Photos of the sign were shared across local Facebook groups and quickly spread across all social media platforms from there. George Takai actually tweeted out a screenshot with the caption that said, "Typos are my worst enema."
He was just in town.
Was he?
Yeah, he got some award at the Fiddler Club in Philadelphia.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
Timmins and the District Hospital Foundation, they wrote on their social media, "Hey, Timmins Pizza Hut, stick to pizza. We'll handle the circumcisions." They had gotten some responses on that as well. And in fact, they have now followed it up with a new sign that in all bold says circumstances
Just
instead
for
of
the hell,
circumcision.
one night I'd hire a mohel to be there.
Absolutely.
As part of a promotion.
All right, and then one last story. A woman fell into a dumpster while throwing out her garbage and was later rescued from a trash truck that had compacted the contents while she was inside. She lived.
It's pretty amazing.
Luckily, neighbors heard her screams, and the trash compartment was equipped with a camera. The driver spotted the woman stuck inside and called 911. And listen to this. By then, the driver had reportedly compacted the garbage up to 4 times, and she lived. Like almost no one ever survives that. Rescuers used a basket ladder to reach the top of the truck and lift her out.
They have time. Sometimes homeless people will jump into a dumpster to go to sleep, and they don't realize that this same fate could befall them.
But by then, she was standing and talking, but was not alert enough to answer questions. The woman was taken to a hospital after Monday's misadventure. Her name was not released. But
Were they pressing her for information?
Correct. But that's crazy that she survived that. All right, and there you go. That's what I have in the bizarre file. I know this is last minute, but we have an announcement to make.
It's on a personal note, I'm so excited about this.
I can't believe this is actually happening, but we are doing this. It's the return of something, gang. So we, the Preston and Steve Show, would like to announce the return of the Soup Bowl.
It's a Soup Bowl.
Soup Bowl. Soup Bowl.
From Preston and Steve.
Soup Bowl. Soup Bowl.
And WMMR 93.3. Everything that's smart.
Here's my favorite part. Listen.
Tomato and split pea. Potato, broccoli, French onion and gumbo. Wonton and gazpacho.
Casey, we were listening to this in audition, and Casey's like, "What is this? I don't even remember that."
I sang. I have no recollection of that.
No recollection
whatsoever.
All right, it's perfectly applicable, though.
So we did a thing called the Soup Bowl many, many years ago, and the reason it was created in the first place is because when it comes to promotions and giving things away, you are not allowed to say the words Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And we are not saying that here. We decided that we are going to do the Soup Bowl, and this is when we first found out about Bill Weston.
Yes.
And his issue with soup. And since Bill doesn't work here anymore, we can do it again.
We can have soup fights.
Bill was so concerned leading up to that.
You're going to put a tarp down?
He's going, yeah. He was asking to make sure you put tarps down. And he kept asking him. We're like, what is the deal? You could spill it and it'll make all this mess. And I'm like.
He was so concerned that I thought he was joking.
Yeah.
Like that's how concerned he was about us having soup in the studio.
Bill, we can clean that up.
Well, we could spill coffee every day, too. It's saying we bring liquids in here. I'll say this, though. We just recently had an organic conversation about our love of various soups.
We were having a full combo about that.
And then everyone, this is something that people get passionate about. You started with my favorite, which is tomato basil.
Yeah.
In that list.
Oh, I love it. I was actually pretty disappointed last night. I went out to dinner with my brothers and my sister, my mom, and I wanted soup, and the only soup they had was like some sort of corn chowder, and I was like, I don't want that soup. And I was so mad because I knew in my mind I was getting soup the whole time, but it just wasn't the one that I wanted.
Wasn't what you wanted.
I love soup.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. The Soup Bowl is going to be Friday, February 9th, right here in our studios. And here's what we've decided. We are going to throw this out to any restaurants that are listening that think that they have the greatest soup in the world.
You know, the thing that they say that you think or that people come in for, I got to have a bowl of your specialty soup.
Yeah, don't email us if you just have soup.
Yeah.
It needs to be exceptional.
It needs to be the thing you're known for. It's that you're proud of this. So restaurants, we want you to submit and get in touch with us and let us know that you would be interested in bringing by some of your amazing liquid love here to the Preston and Steve studios. And then we're going to have a guest panel, including us, as judges to determine who the king of soups are.
The king of soups.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we'll sample all of them. We'll bring our own bowls.
Oh, yeah.
You got to have your favorite
It's a soup bowl.
Yeah. So if you would like to sign up for this, you can go to PrestonandSteve.com and enter your restaurant's famous soup. Now, we don't want you to enter for a restaurant, listeners. This is for restaurateurs. These are managers, people who own the restaurant. We need to hear from you so we can specifically get you as a representative to come by here and bring your soup that morning. One of the great things about doing this event is that soup travels well.
It does.
So there are a lot of dishes like that that just don't. You can't put them in a container, make them, and then bring them somewhere. And even 15 minutes later, it's not as good as when you get it. But soup, a lot of times, longer it sits, better it gets.
And you can be a small mom and pop. I love that.
Yeah.
You could be like a mom and pop place. You could be whatever you have, and you think this soup is special.
Yeah, it's the bee's knees.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the cat's meow.
pajama.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what you do. You go to PrestonandSteve.com and enter your restaurant's famous soup. Now we're gonna select a handful of them. Everybody can't be on board, so what we're gonna try to do is pick a variety of different soups. We're not gonna have 2 French onions here.
Right.
We're not gonna double up on anything. We want a variety of soups, but we need it to be your flagship soup, the one that is you're most proud of on the menu.
What'll rock our world.
Yeah. And it's funny, I just got a text from Steve Wilson, and he asked a question that I was actually wondering earlier when the words, because we were talking about brain stew. Is stew a soup?
I don't think so.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is chili? I don't think so.
No.
So I say no
No.
to stew and to chili.
I'm with you, Nick.
But gumbo, Casey mentioned that's a soup.
I think
jambalaya is not.
Right.
I don't think. But
Jambalaya to me is more on the way to being a stew.
But gumbo is kind of stewy.
I think so.
Yeah, nah. I think
will-
we stick to straight soup.
We'll judge it as
We'll
they
contact the
come
Vatican.
and we'll contact the Vatican. His Holiness probably has an opinion on
I
this. So.
think that the gumbo is the closest to soup.
So the Soup Bowl is going to be, like I said, again on February 9th, and it'll be live on the air here at the President Steve Studios, and we want to try them. We want anybody in the Delaware Valley who can get their soup here that morning to submit for this.
It's our best way to rip off the Super Bowl.
All right, this is a question. It says, gumbo falls somewhere between a thick stew and a hearty soup.
There you go.
So it can be considered a soup. All right, anyhow, it's the return of the Soup Bowl.
Beautiful.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. So he was a wonderful father to 5 kids and husband of 43 years. And my mother and I worked for him for 23 years when I wasn't being a stupid kid. So Emilio and gang, sorry to hear about that. And we'll send that along. But never like to hear any of that news. But, hopefully we brought him some joy here on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We just mentioned that we have reinstituted the Preston and Steve Soup Bowl.
Yes, I'm very excited about the Soup Bowl. I thought the ones that we did were awesome.
They were fun.
I mean, and some really friggin' good soup.
So that is coming up on Friday, February 9th, and we want restaurants to submit for a chance to be here. We can't take everybody, but we would like to see what we get. I don't know. We might get a handful. We might only get 4 or 5 out.
That's okay.
You never know. But it's got to be your absolute, the thing you're proud of on your menu is your soup. So PrestonandSteve.com to get yourself entered. I'm going to bring some up because we didn't get a chance to chat ahead of time what we were going to talk about here. But I did. I went to the dentist the other day. Kathy, I was thinking about you because you actually enjoy going to the dentist.
do.
But and good news, no issues, no cavities, nothing. Everything looks great. So I was quite happy about that. But as I was talking to my dentist, Mr. Jeff Hartman, who's a great guy, I don't know why. I was sitting in the chair and I was thinking about this. I was trying to think of what to him would have been his favorite moment of a dentist in a movie or TV show.
What's his favorite depiction of a dentist in a movie? I assume it's not Little Shop of Horrors.
I had 2 questions for him. I said, "What is your favorite, and what movie or TV show did they get it right?"
Okay,
because
I'm always interested about that.
They butcher constantly. They butcher, and we talked about this a few years ago. Movies, TV shows, and they butcher professions. They just totally make up their own thing. They always figured it was this way, and they represented that way. So, oddly, Steve, he said that probably his favorite would be Marathon Man.
Marathon Man with it's horrifying.
Is it safe? They're torturing Dustin Hoffman by exposing his nerve. But then he said Little Shop of Horrors
was his favorite.
Yeah,
wow,
you've got to.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
it's
fun.
hilarious.
Yeah, where's the really cool dental scene in a movie? You know.
And then the other one he mentioned was, and I'd completely forgotten about this. He said, "Horrible Bosses."
Oh yeah.
Jennifer Aniston is the dentist.
Yeah,
and Charlie Day is her assistant. You remember? She knocks him out with nitrous and gets him naked and poses him in all these positions and stuff. Hilarious.
Yeah.
But the other thing he mentioned was he said, this isn't a movie, because I just asked him about movies. He said, Harvey Korman and
Tim Conway,
on the Carol Burnett show. And I just started cracking up even thinking about it. So I wanted to see if there's anyone listening who, in your profession, you feel that they got it right in the movies. 215-263-WMM1.
Movies or TV?
Movies. We could do TV too. So let us know. And then I started thinking about our profession, obviously. And I think the one movie that really got it right was Private Parts from Howard Stern.
Yeah.
And so, and specifically his early days as a DJ, because I remember going to see that movie, and it was late in the run. So it was like me and 3 other people in the movie theater. And there were a couple times where I was the only one that laughed out loud because he was doing stuff specifically for disc jockeys. And his very first job, it's the classic line, if you like music, you'll like Deep Purple.
Right.
But it wasn't that. It wasn't that line. He stops after he turns the microphone off, puts his hands on his headphones, and he doesn't take them off. And he looks around. And I know exactly what he's saying. He's like, have I finished? Am I done? Can I take my headphones off yet? And I'm like, you nailed it, dude.
Right,
That's exactly what you do as a rookie when you're learning how to work in this business.
You don't want to brush anything. And then, of course, in that scene, he knocks all the carts off.
It hits the record. Yeah. And then there's another scene where he starts the song. I think it's a Ramones song, and he starts doing this goofy little thing with his hands. He's playing air drums, and he cranks the music up, and I'm like, that's it. That's exactly how you do it.
It is the Citizen Kane of DJ. Now there's a movie. It's talk radio.
Yes.
Yeah, which is more for the talk radio format. The more and who's the guy? I always forget the actor. He's excellent.
Yeah,
it was a
he's been in a
stage
bunch
play.
of stuff.
Yeah. But that has a feel for it as well. But again, Private Parts is the one that nails it for what we do.
Yeah. That was I would have put talk radio as a second on that, Steve. Too. It did over dramatize things a little bit.
Is it Bogosian?
Eric Bogosian,
yeah, he's really good. He's got a great voice.
Yeah.
He's a real resonant. But and Alec Baldwin's in that movie.
Yes, that's
too.
right.
He's the station manager.
Just going back to dentist movies, the whole 9 yards. Some people are texting in. That's a really Matthew Perry plays a dentist in that movie, and I think that those scenes are fairly accurate. And believe it or not, I always found Bill Cosby's description of going to the dentist from Bill Cosby himself.
And there's smoke.
Yeah, well, and he's doing the thing where the Novocaine's in your mouth, and I know where we all stand on Bill Cosby today. But when I was watching that routine as a kid, nailed it.
What kind of sedatives do you use?
I literally was thinking of that while I was at the dentist. I probably think that every time I'm at the dentist because the line he goes, the line he opens with, he goes, dentists tell you not to pick at your teeth with metal objects.
Right.
And then he goes, and then you sit in their chair.
The first thing they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like being on the golf course and not quoting Caddyshack. Like you automatically think those things when you're at the dentist chair or when you're on the golf course.
So I often heard for the longest time that the TV show Adam 12 was very like police officers had selected that show as being very representative.
Fairly accurate.
Right. So that, they would be responding to a door left open in the back of a bed. It wasn't always running and gunning and TJ Hooker, you know? So they dealt with that sort of stuff.
John Mulaney has a bit that he does about Law and Order.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's hilarious. And, the cops coming in to investigate a guy who's working at the bar, he's wiping down the bar and everything.
Yeah.
And they're asking him about like a triple murder.
Right.
And the guy's like, I got drinks to make. I got inventory here. I ain't got time to do that. Oh, yeah, now that you mention it, the guy said something about walking up, and it's just like.
And then he gets very, very specific about it.
Very specific. And so that's getting it wrong, obviously. But I'm curious about who gets it right. I'm gonna go to Ed. Hi, Ed. Good morning.
Hey, how you guys doing? You guys rock.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it. What's up, bud?
Hey, so I'm a CPA, and I have to say the best movie is The Accountant with Ben Affleck.
I dug that movie.
It's a good movie, but
depiction.
does it accurately represent how accountants work?
Yeah. Are you an assassin?
On the side, I got all of it. So.
Yeah, so you do the assassin, but the actual accounting, did that seem accurate?
No.
Maybe they just get it. I'm trying to think what accountant movie ever got it right, Ed.
There is no accountant movie.
That's right. Thank you. I forgot about that. Actually, they need a sequel to that movie. They had talked about it. I'd heard about
That's
it.
the word. The word is
They
that,
should,
yeah.
because they left it open for more.
I dug it.
I thought it was a really good movie. Jay Barenthal's in it.
Yeah.
And All right, Ed. Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll go over to Josh. Hey, Josh. Good morning.
Hi, Grandmom.
Hi, Grandmom.
What's up, Josh?
So I am a software development manager, and I got to tell you, that movie Office Space is a little older, but everything in that movie is 100% accurate. I have 5 different bosses sometimes. People are promoted to positions they have no business being promoted to. The TPS reports, you got to follow these stupid policies and procedures sometimes. I'm telling you, that movie
It's spot on. Yeah, well, Mike Judge, who wrote the movie and directed it, worked in that industry, so he knew from his own experience. Yeah, I had a feeling it was pretty accurate.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I used to deal with a lot of financial software, and putting a virus in there, and probably possible, honestly. If you got access to the code and you're the only one that's in there, you could do a lot of stuff, a lot of harm.
Okay. All right.
Good to know.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Josh. I haven't given that movie a view in a long time. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Aniston's in that one?
Yes, she shows a lot of flair.
Yep. All right, let me go next to, you'll like this one, Kath. Hi, Katie. Good morning.
Good morning, Ed.
Good morning to see you. Okay, so we're talking about shows or movies that actually depict your profession pretty close to the real thing.
Yeah, so I am Katie the horse lady. I work with horses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hi, guys. So thank God Yellowstone finally got it right.
Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a real horse ranch. Both of the farms they're real horse ranches. They're actually, they sell the horses that have been on the show. I saw one at an auction that was for sale and everything. So it's a real deal. The biggest thing that I can't stand about horses in TV and shows, horses do not just whinny all the time. They'll show a horse galloping along and it's they don't do that. They do whinny, but it is not an every time you see a horse they whinny at you kind of a thing. They don't bark like dogs or whinny, it's just not the same thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Katie, because whenever there is a moment where someone is about to publicly speak on a microphone, almost always you'll hear a little feedback whine at the beginning.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm like, that very rarely it happens, but it doesn't happen every time somebody goes on the mic, but they do it almost every single time.
The other thing that I can't stand is in a movie or in a TV show when let's say Black Stallion or Black Beauty or, Misty of Chincoteague, they have 7 different horses that are are the horse that they're supposed to be the same horse, and it's completely not the same horse. That horse has, blonde hair, and that one has spots.
So obviously you're obviously on a horse ranch. In the world of horse racing, have you ever seen Seabiscuit? Do you happen to know if that's?
They did a pretty good job.
Okay,
they did a pretty good job. I will give them credit too. But
Katie,
yeah, it's
Did you ever see the movie? Did you ever see the movie Nope?
I haven't seen it yet. It is on my list.
You should see it because it focuses around a family that raises horses for use in movies and things like that. And it seems like they took some realities from what that world might be like.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it and report back to you guys.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Katie. Good to hear from you.
Guys, have a good one.
All right,
You too. Thanks.
See ya. All right. We will go next to, I figured we might get a few of these. This is Ed, who is an EMT, I believe, or a firefighter. Ed, you're on the air. Good morning.
Actually, I'm a retired firefighter's current EMT and actually a former dispatcher as well.
Oh.
And the one show that got it right, or still gets it right, I would say for the most part, would be 911.
Okay.
But actually, there's another show that gets it. They get it right in the stupidity sense. Is Tacoma Fire.
Oh,
Tacoma Fire.
Not familiar.
Yeah. From the Broken Lizard guys.
Okay.
Oh. Super Trooper guys.
Right.
The antics and the silliness and the stuff that goes on at the firehouse, like the stupid like bets and activities and things after that, when we're not out on a scene or whatever, it was absolutely the stupid things we do, tricks we pull on each other, things like that. So,
hey, Ed, for
realism, it's 911. For what goes on at the firehouse, it's Tacoma Fire.
With 911, do they get it right mainly with the dispatcher stuff?
And respond to you.
What is that?
If you want to continue, please.
What's happening?
Ed, did we lose you? Yeah.
It's gone.
So I lost you. I'm here.
There we go.
All right, Ed. So
your mother got on the phone.
The show 911, does it get it right mainly with the dispatch part of things or the whole overall show?
Actually, just about everything. I mean, there's some things that I've seen on the show that were like, that's not really how we do it, but it's pretty close. I mean, it's actually way more accurate than, say, like Chicago Fire. Like, I watched Chicago Fire, too, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Wait, back up.
Is that the one that, who's on 911?
God, I can't think of her. The one that was in...
Jennifer Love Hewitt?
What's that?
Is it Jennifer Love Hewitt?
Yes. She's still on there. And Angela Bassett, it plays the police officer.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And Peter Krause from 6 Feet Under.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ed. Appreciate it, man.
See you.
All right, we'll see you. All right. Let's go over to Steve, a detective for 18 years. Hi, Steve.
Good morning.
Hey, what's up, bud?
So, this one's a little dated.
Okay.
The best detective show ever, by far, was Barney Miller.
Barney Miller. So Barney Miller, I think 98% of Barney Miller just took place in the police precinct, right? At their desks by the coffee machine. Is that what rings true to you?
It's pretty accurate for the most part. In most places, you do have hours and hours of boredom and paperwork that's punctuated by, fantastic sarcasm from your coworkers, ball break-in, and things like that. The characters that you meet that come in, victims and defendants, are absolutely modeled from that show. It seems like.
Oh, cool.
You get from one end to the other. The other thing is, it's you see some of these shows, like I would get people who weren't even police would tell me, oh, NYPD's so realistic, or it's so realistic. That's so far from realistic. You'd have one or two of the events that ever happened on one episode happen in your entire career.
Right now, yeah.
It happened every single day. It was not like it's nothing but paperwork and boredom. But the best part is the dialogue.
The dialogue.
Yeah, amongst your coworkers.
Did you ever see the show Hill Street Blues? And if so, what did you think of that?
So Hill Street Blues was pretty good too. What always cracked me up about shows like that is the stations are always so dark and everybody, everybody's hard to see. We have 6,000 watt light bulbs in there, and you couldn't, your eyes burn when you try and take a nap, because you've been working for 14 hours. So the settings are always off. But sometimes, like Hill Street Blues, they got some of the work, dialogue and characters, pretty good.
Do you remember an author, Joseph Wambaugh? He was he's a former police officer, and he wrote Police Story and The New Centurions, and police officers would often cite his stuff as being very accurate.
Yeah, I read a couple of his books. The Choir Boys was a great book and very accurate. But,
okay.
So
Steve.
Definitely Barney Miller.
Barney Miller.
Steve, did you ever see the movie So I Married an Axe Murderer?
You know, I did was a long time. Is it Mike Myers, I think?
Yeah, Mike Myers is in it, but Anthony LaPaglia plays a detective, and he so desperately wants to have a relationship with his captain that's like you see in the movies where the captain's always yelling at him and telling him to get off his ass and bust this and all that stuff. And there are so many, that's a standard trope in cop movies of the boss who's just a jerk and pushing buttons all the time, and you guys are slacking off and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, that's not even anywhere near reality, is it?
Most of the time, no. Most of the time, pretty personal. Real quick, one of the best stories of a boss ever, and I won't name names or locations. We had a vending machine in the hallway that the glass happened to break. Don't know how. But our captain at the time walks by while we're all standing around looking at the glass on the floor, and he reaches in and takes a candy bar out and walks away. And that's it. You know?
I love it.
So,
Thanks, Steve.
All right, thanks, guys. Tell
Appreciate
Chuck
it.
I said hi. I'm his cousin. I'm Chuck's cousin.
Tell who?
So tell Chuck D'Amico.
Oh, you got it. We'll let him know. All right, thanks, Steve.
All right, see you guys.
Casey, I was thinking of, as I was saying that to him about that, the boss character is yelling. Yeah. That's one of the reasons I kind of didn't like The Departed was because Mark Wahlberg's character was so abrasive. And I'm like, why would anybody ever live with that in a working environment?
Yeah.
That's just...
And here's a dude who...
Did you see it to the end?
Yeah. That's it. I know what happens with him and everything,
Right.
but if you're trying to keep a low profile because you got something going
and
on,
you're screaming all the goddamn time,
how horrible.
It's like Undercover Cops, Starsky and Hush, in a bright red paint job, the car you can hear from 10 miles away.
And maybe Martin Sheen, his superior goes, hey, can you dial it back a little bit?
Yeah,
this guy has completely put his life on hold to go undercover to bring down, I don't know, like the biggest crime guy in the city.
Black Mass.
Yeah.
So the FBI agents in that seems to have a real air of authenticity to it.
Right.
But over time, what happens is we'll see it one way depicted in movies. And to this point, and to this whole topic, is that's what we think it is, but it's not that.
I'm curious about chefs, too, because we've had The Bear.
Yes.
We have the movie Chef. There's a lot of really good cooking movies out there.
A lot of text people chiming in on the movie Waiting, saying how accurate that is for the service industry.
Jennifer wanted to call in with that, so let me go to her. Hi, Jennifer. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to see you, Jennifer. All right, so you're a server or have been?
I have been a server. I've been a chef. I've been the front of the house, back of the house, you name it.
Okay, and you're concurring with what Nick was saying. It's Waiting. Is it a movie or a show? I'm not familiar.
It's a movie.
It's a movie, and they got it so accurate. You can't get any better than that. It was dead on.
Ryan Reynolds is in it, correct?
Pardon? Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty
You guys
funny.
haven't seen it?
I have seen it.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's a great movie. I mean, it's funny.
They
Justin
made a
Long's
second
in it.
one. Yeah.
I never saw the second one, but Ryan Reynolds and Anna Faris are the stars, and Luis Guzman is in the kitchen. It's a really good movie. It's fun, funny.
Was there any part?
It's a family environment.
Yeah.
It's the land of lost toys.
The Misfit Toys? Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I have to see it because I've worked a couple of kitchen jobs, so I would like to, and I know what that dynamic is like. Thanks, Jennifer. Appreciate it. Let me go next to Brandon. Hi there, Brandon. Good morning.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Good morning to see you, Brandon. What's up, man?
Hey, so I worked a number of years in state politics on the communications side, and before I was in politics, I was a poli-sci major in school and was in love with the show Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
And I could not believe when I was first exposed to like town halls, and it's just like that.
Really?
Like you would be having a message for like the greater good, and you have like more of like a inside knowledge than the public has is privy to. And you know that this is the real deal. We're really trying to do something good here. And then not everybody, but you have those that show up with the most petty arguments. And you're like, this is just like Parks and Recreation. Like truth is stranger than fiction.
Let me ask you where the classic in Parks has good attraction with the characters who are just classic paper pushers who just punch the clock and in and out, and that's it.
I personally, surprisingly, I didn't experience the classic paper pusher in my office. It was such a fast-paced office.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure at more of like the department level, I'm sure something like that existed. But and also quickly to validate, I was a server for many years. Waiting is 100% the most accurate movie on the service.
Okay.
Very cool. Very cool. Another thumbs up for Waiting.
Got to see that. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it. All right, we'll go over to Eric. Hi, Eric. You're on the air. Good morning, bud.
Hey, I am a eBayer, but I get my stuff because I do storage auctions. Storage unit auctions, and Auction Hunters is 100% accurate, and Storage Wars is a bunch of BS.
Okay.
And you can tell that, like, in the opening credits, the guys say on Auction Hunters you get 90% of your profit off of 10% of the units, and Storage Wars is, look at this Van Gogh in the back of this trash-filled unit.
Right.
Yeah, they do that a lot. You're right.
And they hype up the drama on it, too, don't they, Eric?
I'll be honest with you, when they had more live auctions, there are characters, even around here in Pennsylvania, but those guys out there, I mean,
Okay.
And so when you go to these auctions, you are buying these units sight unseen. They don't even open the door, or
Oh, no. They open up the door. You're allowed to look in. Of course, some of the guys try to step in. You're not supposed to, and try to lift up lids and stuff, but you're supposed to not enter the unit, but just look, and then you buy. Yeah.
So just from the outside, you can't cross any line. You can't go in. You can't futz around and move stuff around. That's your one visual to determine whether or not you're going to buy the whole unit.
Yes. And just to give you an example, I know somebody that bought a unit because it had all these, like, Apple boxes, and inside them was just trash. They spent like $1,000 on the unit, and they got like $10 out of it.
Oh,
man. Yeah, I mean, it's, you can find some really good stuff, but if you don't know what you're doing, you can lose your shirt and need to find a new career.
All right, on Storage Wars, is that the one where they don't look inside at all and they have to bid on it, or?
Storage Wars and Auction Hunters is the exact same thing. Yeah, they lift up the door.
Oh, they do lift up the door.
They
Okay.
do that. Yeah, you can't buy a unit without knowing anything that's in there. That would be insane.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. All right, nice, Eric. Appreciate it, man. We'll see you.
All right, bye.
All right, bye-bye. That would be interesting.
So we used to have a storage unit down in Manayunk, and then that place is still there down by the SEPTA, the bus station.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I drive through there and I'd get my stuff in and out, you'd see the different, the doors would be up on these different units, and you go,
ooh, what's in there?
And one had like all medical supplies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and like I mean, there's a ton of stuff. So there's a bit of fascination with that Storage Wars concept,
I can see that.
about what people are holding on to and what they need to store in a separate location.
We have a unit for the charity that Rochelle works for, and so we go over there every now and then and take stuff and move it out. I'm always peeking around to see if anybody else is around.
Yeah.
'cause I want to see what's in there.
What you got.
And I never get a chance to see that. All right, let me go to Tom on the phones. Hi, Tom. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Preston. How are you?
Great. What's up, man?
Hey, shout out to Kathy. Also, Westchester University, Ramsgate, and Jake's Bar person.
There you go. You got them all.
There you go.
All right. What do you do, Tom, or what have you done?
So I sell toys for a living for the last 25 years or so.
Wow.
And I did work at Mattel.
Okay.
And I was excited when the Barbie movie came out. Now, this may sound really weird to you guys, okay?
Okay.
I'm a toy salesperson. But the Barbie movie depicted the Mattel corporate guys. Did you guys see the movie?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So the way I went into that movie and I was like, all right, I'm going to watch a movie about Barbie. It turned out, laughing out loud, the only guy in the theater, because I worked there, that paying attention to the way they depicted the corporate guys. Will Ferrell walking with the guys almost like militant behind him, wearing basically the same suit, and anything he would say, they'd repeat it back to him.
So that dynamic, that character, that sort of, the suck-up surrounding him, that's something you saw?
You have no idea.
Wow.
The president's office was on the 6th floor of the building. And if you ended up having a meeting on the 6th floor, you would have people say, "You're going to the 6th floor?" They literally said that in the movie. I don't know how they got that little bit of information, that inside stuff, but they did. And it's almost, I was very actually proud of Mattel because they never make fun of themselves. And they made fun of themselves a lot in that movie. But if you work there, you kind of got it.
Yeah.
So what they never do They never, ever, ever make fun of Barbie. And man, they had so many little zingers about making fun of Barbie, which I was shocked.
No, I heard other people say what you were saying as well, is that it was absolutely verboten. But yes, they do. They do make fun of their own product line, and they did make fun of the corporate guys. Of course, the end result is they made a crap load of money off of the association. So, yeah. Wow. It's funny that you should say that they would be exactly like that, because I thought, Will Ferrell's character was played obviously for extremes and comedy effect, but you're saying it wasn't that far off the mark.
They did it through comedy, but they nailed it 100%.
I'm going to have to watch again. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. It's nice when
have a great
they
day, guys. Thanks for all the entertainment.
Thank you. It's fun when they throw in a little bit like, the sixth floor. They probably did that as a little nod to the people who've actually worked there.
All those little things when they include stuff like that. Again, the things you think are just for you.
Yeah.
I used to be excited when you'd have guys reload in movies. It's like, you have to do stuff like that.
Yep. Here's a text that says, I'm a journalist. The movie The Paper is spot on in some of the ways you described with the Stern movie. It pumps up the drama, but reporters love that movie.
The Paper.
And it says Michael Keaton, Glenn Close, Randy Quaid.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Oh, I don't remember that movie. You think Howard come on and we could talk about
He should.
private parts with him if we reach out to him and see if maybe we love that movie.
Love that freaking movie.
I saw Paul Giamatti was when he was accepting I guess it was a Golden Globe recently, and somebody asked him if they would ever work with Stern again. He's like, absolutely. He's like, that dude made me.
Yeah.
He's like, that guy made my career. That was the springboard that took off, and now he's phenomenal actor. He's amazing.
Yeah. But it is, again, you're right. You're so right. There's such nuance in that movie that depicts so much of what you would have to actually be in the industry to be aware of.
Yeah.
Pig Vomit is such a great character.
Yep.
I mean, unfortunately, we didn't work here with anybody like Pig Vomit, but I'm sure they exist in the radio world.
Here's a text that says Silicon Valley is very accurate to the IT industry.
Yeah, I like that show.
Especially the part where they calculate how he can give everyone a handy in an hour.
I've heard that, Mythic Quest is supposed to be very accurate to the game development world.
All right. Here's a text that says, worked at Walmart and Shawshank Redemption got it pretty close. That's funny. Let's see. We're going to go to Jake. Hi. Jake, you're on the air, my man.
Morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Good, buddy. What's up?
So I actually work in car sales, and not like morally or ethically, but the goods live hard, sell hard is actually pretty accurate as far as the dynamic of like the different people in the dealership. And
it's a funny movie. It's the Jeremy Piven, and it's a pretty broad comedy, and it has who else is in the cast?
Will Ferrell's in it. You got
Bing
the guy
Rames,
from The Office.
David Koechner.
Yeah, yep. But yeah, like you have like the cocky guy who thinks he knows everything, he's better than everyone. You have the curmudgeon old man.
And Catherine Hahn is in it as well. She plays. She's using sex to sell the cars. Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen the Robert Zemeckis movie Used Cars?
No, actually, I've not.
Yeah,
Dude,
I think you would like that.
I think it's one of the all-time great comedies.
Yeah.
And it's a movie that you just don't see. They don't really show it on cable or anything. It's hilarious.
And they're doing some things in that movie, Jake, that seem to be too accurate. Like the little things they're doing to sell these cars.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. All right.
Well, what's funny too is like Fargo. I'm a manager. I find myself saying tell him it's on the car. Tell this guy to pound sand all the time. Just undercoating,
Yeah, you need undercoating. That's primer.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate it, man. Let's see. We'll go next to Nick. Hi, Nick. You're on the air, my man.
Hey, bitches.
Hey, what? What's up, dude?
Hey, so movie that's actually kind of scary accurate. You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, the Adam Sandler movie on Netflix.
Right.
That is, I'm an MC for mitzvahs on the weekend, and it is wow. It's a little over the top, that movie, but for the New York mitzvah scene, that is so accurate. How much drama goes into the party, into that night, especially on the kids' side. It's hilarious.
You must see a lot, because I know, and sometimes the amount of money spent on those events can be insane.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's so crazy. I worked one up in New York last year, and they rented out an entire convention hall floor for this party.
Oh my
for this
God.
13-year-old birthday party.
Yeah.
Full-size basketball court in there. Insanity. Sparklers, fog machines, balloons over the dance floor.
Dude, I remember my confirmation was like a little barbecue in the backyard. You know, it's like my friend Randy Costanowitz had his bar mitzvah, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, my buddy Brad, he was my best friend at the time, went to his bar mitzvah, and it was a massive party.
Yeah.
They pull out all the stops. All right, so you're so not invited to my bat mitzvah. I got to see it. All right, thanks. Appreciate it, Nick.
I didn't like it, and it was only because the girl is just so mean in it, and I'm like, and she's the main character.
Yeah,
but there's a reason behind it, and it's just like teen angst and stuff, but. It's the same reason I didn't care for Diary of a Wimpy Kid, because the main actor in that
kind of annoying.
He was a jerk.
Yeah,
his friend was a nice kid.
I'll go next to Marcus. We got to wrap here in a second. Hey, Marcus. Good morning.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good. What's up, bud?
Not much. I was comparing not my current job, like a similar form of my job, a financial advisor, to like Boiler Room / Wolf of Wall Street. Like all that stuff is fairly accurate when it comes to like the scummier side of the business. Push like commission products.
Boiler Room is with Vin Diesel, correct?
Correct. Vin Diesel. We got Ben Affleck.
Right.
Giovanni Ribisi. Yeah, that one. Like I've watched that a lot when I first started in the field, because it was that scene with Ben Affleck when he's recruiting people. It's so true.
Let me ask you. So you mentioned Wall Street, Wolf of Wall Street, which I love that movie. And so does that ring true to you in a lot of ways?
So not to me, but like there's definitely people in the profession like that, where it was, hey, what can we say to get this person to buy it when we know they don't need it and we know we're going to make a ton of money off of it? Like it was just, that part was so accurate, where like he's like, don't judge me on my winners, like judge me on my losers, because I have so few. Like they'll say anything. And then I'm like, why? Like that's why I don't work at those kind of places anymore. But it's so
Marcus,
accurate.
When it comes to Boiler Room, don't those like Wall Street bros sit around and they're quoting other movies, like they're quoting Wall Street in Boiler Room? So do guys now sit around and quote Wolf of Wall Street and Boiler Room?
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street. They were definitely like, we would talk about Boiler Room like at my first job doing this, and they were like, well, no, we don't want to like compare it to that.
Yeah, it's life imitating art, imitating life.
I always think of that scene in Wall Street where Wolf of Wall Street, where he's there, Nick, and he's got the guy on the phone. He's showing the other sales guys. He goes, this is an opportunity for another $10,000. And as he's talking, he's double fingering the phone, going, "Come on,"
reeling him in.
Yeah.
That's true. They had calls like that in the office where it was like everyone could hear it, and it was on, like you couldn't talk, but you were listening to this conversation. It was the same thing. You're just like, oh my God, I can't believe he's saying.
Wow. Jesus, that's pretty brutal.
Nice. Thanks, Marcus. Appreciate it, bud.
Absolutely. You too.
All right, we'll see you. All right, we'll go to Phil on the phones here. Hi, Phil. You're on the air. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning, guys.
Phil? Good morning to see you, buddy. What's up?
Hey, so the Green Mile. I've been in the prison system in New Jersey for almost 15 years. So I saw Green Mile as a kid and never thought nothing of it. Good movie. After working in the jail for a couple years, they nailed it.
No way.
So compare it to Shawshank. Do you think it is better than Shawshank in its depiction?
In its depiction, yes. And this is on the view of the staff.
Okay.
Tom Hanks nails, like everybody works with a Percy.
Yep.
When you have Percy on your shift, you know you are screwed for the night. Because talk us into some crap that we got to talk our way right back at it.
Yeah, and like Tom Hanks, his mission is like we keep them calm. It keeps the problems down. That's part of our job is to, even though we may detest these individuals, our job is to keep things from happening here.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
Liability mitigation.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool to hear.
It is.
I suspected it was accurate, as I do with Shawshank.
What did you ever see the movie? Oh man,
Stir Crazy.
Nope. It's not a prison movie. Ed Norton, he goes to jail. He's a racist.
American
History X. Yeah, when he's in prison, they come out and the guards are like immediately when he steps out, they just start screaming and yelling at him. And I'm like, I think that's a bit over the top.
Yeah. Oh, God. In today's society, we'd all be sued.
Right, yeah, you'll be sued, right? Yeah.
All right, Phil. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, we'll see you. All right, well, I was curious if they've, if they get it right every now and then. There's so much that that's depicted and dramatized that they really take liberties with on professions.
Yeah.
I was just curious which ones kind of fall true.
Get close.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, like, when you watch a show or a movie that is about show business or whatever, like how accurate that is. Kath, I know we watch a morning show, and I'm like, and there were some things that happened in this last season, and I'm like, I wonder how accurate. I mean, this is being made by people who are in this industry.
Oh, just working in the industry, like in the beginning for a few years, they got a lot of.
Did they get a lot right? You
yeah.
You ever see broadcast news?
No, I don't think I saw that. The dynamic between people and the stabbing in the back.
In the
like,
back?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Big time.
God,
Of course.
remember
And
the
the
whole
egos and
Larry Menti thing here and Alicia Lane and
it was real.
that stuff really happens, I guess. That's
there's
weird.
these dynamics.
That TV show was real. Hang on, Marissa's got something.
There was one show too, the newsroom gave me like PTSD. There was one moment where they had to like get something on the air really quickly and they like rolled in a TV and it was right behind him and she was like, all right, on the count of 3, you're going to look to your left. 1, 2. And he just like naturally turned to his left. And I was like, oh my God, this is so right.
All right. Well, anyhow, thank you for your calls. We do appreciate it. I want to take a break and come back. Yes?
Yeah, let's do a Galentine's Day.
Yeah, let's do that. You're right. We got a
yeah.
party coming up. Galentine's Day. It's on the 13th of February, the night before Valentine's Day. We're headed to Rivers Casino. They are giving us Jack's Bar and Grill to use for this little get-together.
Looks great.
Us and the gals. It's a Zeta Eta Pi sorority sister party. And if you would like to go, be one of the next 5 callers right now. You have to be at least 21 years of age, available to join us. You got to be one of our lady listeners, and we can invite you into the fold, and we'll set you up with your first drink and happy hour buffet. And we're hoping to have some activities and prizes and games, and it's just a hang.
Yes.
It's just a hang. That's all
we
there
haven't
is to
done
it.
one in a while.
So 215-263-WMMR, 5 callers right now. We'll take a break. When we return, we're going to find out about the best restaurants in Philadelphia. Philly Mag and Victor Fiorello. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Your traffic on 93.3 WMMR.
All right, thank you very much, Kathy. Well, on the heels of the announcement of the Preston and Steve Soup Bowl, returning to the airwaves, where we're trying to find the best soup in the Delaware Valley, or at least we'll get some restaurants together and that will compete against each other, and we'll determine who's the winner amongst them. And if you work at a restaurant or own a restaurant and want to submit for that, you can go to PrestonandSteve.com. But it's not just, the soup's got to be... It's got to be one of the best things on your menu.
Yeah, it's what people come in for.
Yeah, it's not just that you serve soup.
Yeah.
You have some of the best soup. Well, on the heels of that, we can find out about the absolute best restaurants in our area. And here to speak on that is our friend, editor of Philadelphia Magazine, Victor Fiorello.
You guys rock.
Thank you, brother. The 50 Best Restaurants issue is out.
That's right. You guys do realize I'm not actually the editor of the magazine.
but we like to say...
It sounds nice. My mom likes it.
Yeah.
You are an editor.
That's true.
Yeah. So who is the editor?
The editor is Brian Howard.
Okay.
Oh,
I don't know.
He never comes in, so you're going to get that verified spot.
He's scared of you guys. He thinks you're going to do sharts around here.
It's conceivable.
So I was reading in a little bit about this, and I flipped through the list and just kind of gazed at a few of the things. But what I like is you guys set it up in the magazine by saying the best restaurant is it's a subjective term, essentially. It depends because different people like different things.
That's it. Yep.
And so you've got to, but to get a list together, you've got to gather what deems to be the best. But that could be determining on if it's Italian food that you like. You might.
What's your
consider
favorite
that
cuisine?
to
Yeah.
be the best. You know.
No, absolutely. As you know, every year we also do Best of Philly, which is highly subjective. But we like to think that we are experts in the categories that we are, pulling this together for. This is not like a lot of other lists that are democratically based on internet polls.
Right.
Like the Inquirer's doing one of these best of things right now where there's like literally there's a HVAC tech category that has 30 nominations. You can vote once a day. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's too much.
Hey, I wanted to ask before we dive into this, because did you hear this last conversation we had about movies that have gotten professions right?
No, you know what I did? Actually, I did hear that, but what I was really alarmed to see was that when I woke up at 7 a.m., friggin' Pancake got the scoop on me on the Bucks County beheading. I'm like, in any reporting guide, you should look up Beheading, and Victor Fiorillo should come up as your reporter. And you guys have Pancake.
He scooped you. Yeah.
I mean, I got scooped. I
He
can't
lives
believe
in the
it.
same neighborhood as the guy.
I know.
But is there a magazine or newspaper or movie where they kind of got it right?
Wow, that's a really great question. I would love to see a really good sitcom about the magazine industry because that would be a lot of fun and probably accurate. But, I like movies like, I mean, All the President's Men comes to mind.
Classic.
What about like The Devil Wears Prada?
That's true. Totally not. I also like Zodiac.
Zodiac is a great movie. Yeah.
That's a great movie. Do you
remember the show?
Of getting it accurate?
Yeah.
I think none of them have the level of humor and ridiculousness that really go along with the business.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Because one I was going to mention was Marley and Me.
Oh, you're right.
Because he's a columnist, and I thought that they kind of it looked like when they were touching on his profession that they may have gotten it kind of right.
Yeah, I was going through my head in the car as I was listening, as I was stuck in traffic that Kathy didn't tell me about. I was listening and trying to come up with ideas in my head for like what are the accurate ones, and there are so many good ones, but yeah, there's just this level of ridiculousness and ego and difficult people that you might have to deal with that doesn't necessarily come through in some of
Do you remember the show Lou Grant with Ed Asner? It was
I do not.
Yeah, it was a newspaper series. It was often cited as being very accurate.
So I just want getting into. I was going to wait till
The
you got
restaurants?
into the
All right,
restaurants.
let's
but
get into it.
Why I'm here to talk.
Yeah.
But
My food editor is like, why is he talking about beheadings? He's supposed to
Tell
be
your food editor to shut up.
But I wanted to ask you because I went through the list because I don't go to the city, so I'm probably not going to go to the majority of these. But there's like two random Westchester restaurants and one in Jersey, and the rest are Philly.
There's also Ardmore. And, I think we would argue that those are just, obviously there are a ton of restaurants in the suburbs. The Venezuelan spot in Ardmore just happens to be amazing. The Italian spot in Collingswood, we think is on par with other things on the list. Now, Kathy, you do bring up a good point. And if I were the food editor, which I'm not, I would do the 50 best restaurants in Philly. And then as part of that package, I would do the 10 best restaurants in each suburban county.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I just had dinner at the wonderful Clam Tavern in Clifton Heights last night, right, in Delco. To me, Casey, would you agree that if there was a top 10 list of restaurants in Delco that the Clam would be on there? You have to say yes.
I have to say yes because then I just don't want people, showing up with pitchforks in my house.
But you get my point.
I do.
Especially if you do live out near Westchester. Maybe you're not going to come in to go to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or her place supper club, but you do want to know.
Yeah, I just thought it was odd that the majority of them are 90% of them are Philadelphia. So how did you pick the very few? Why don't you just do all 50 in Philly and then, like you said, pick suburban restaurants?
Like I said, I'm raising the issue with my food editor, but I take
clearly a sore point.
All right, so I want to ask about one specifically, Victor. I had a weekend getaway with my fiance in the city this past weekend, and it was a great time. And we didn't know where to go, right? And sometimes I ask Marissa because she always has great recommendations. But what my fiance did this weekend was just Google top 10 dining experiences in Philly. And one that came up is one on your list. It's called Vernick Fish. It's in the Comcast Center, and they were sold out. They had no reservations. But I would love to. I love seafood. I'd love to try that place. So places like that, can you recommend? And why does that make the list for Philly Mag?
So you're telling me that a guy on the Preston and Steve show can't get into Vernick?
You know who had the reservations was Mike Jarek and Rob Wasserman, but they didn't invite us.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, listen, we all have been to, well, I shouldn't say we all have been to all of these restaurants, but those of us on staff, when you separate us, somebody has been to these restaurants. And, some of us have been to, probably three of us have been to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or 4 of us have been to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is the #1 restaurant on the list. Extremely hard to get into. They just won the huge James Beard Award. Was it last year?
Yeah.
A wonderful spot. The one thing about Friday, Saturday, Sunday is if you look at the opening spread of best restaurants, which I know your listeners can't, but you'll see the bar there with a wonderful bartender, Paul, behind it. And actually my favorite experience, because you can go to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you can do the sort of dining room, which is one experience. I personally like to go to the bar that's pictured there, and you don't have to do the fixed price menu. You could just do bar snacks. You can order this and that.
Yeah, sometimes
and his
eating
cocktails
at the bar
are the top.
Sometimes eating at the bar is great. I mean, you get a variation on it. So any of these things and what you guys do so well, whether you agree with it or not, it gives you a list and gives you some tips to places you might not have thought of going to. Now, we just had Nick Elmy in, and we were talking about the Michelin rating system and how it's been sort of bypassing Philadelphia. And but I'm glad to see his restaurant, Lark, is on the list here. So
well deserved.
It's an amazing place. Yeah.
Beautiful too. I mean, so many of these restaurants are just not great food, but just great overall experiences. And some of them are more aligned to just great food. But in terms of a date night, there are so many wonderful places on here. And, going back to the bar, when my wife and I go out without meeting another couple or taking the kids, we usually prefer to sit at the bar.
Cool. Yeah.
I just think it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I like the bar dinner thing, too.
And then you also don't have to wait for your second cocktail because your bartender's
right there, man.
They see you.
You should do maybe you do a cocktail list. Like I will look at the cocktail menu before I look at the food menu. And if it's not good, I don't even move on.
We do a best bars list for sure. And one rule that we have in our house is that we don't look at the menu until our drinks have arrived. And we instituted that maybe like 8 years ago because we felt like we kept getting rushed out of restaurants. Right? And our cocktails or, the kids' drinks, whatever, wouldn't show up. And, here are our entrees.
Are coming out.
So we just have this rule where, in fact, last night we were at the Clam Tavern for my wife and son's birthday. And, the waitress kept asking us, if we were ready to order food. And we literally we said, sorry, we haven't looked at the menu yet. We're just relaxing. And she was very nice. She wasn't trying to rush us. But it is a rule that we have in place where we wait for, the kids' pineapple juice, our martinis to come out.
So you don't tell them, though?
We don't tell them that, no.
Okay, but you'll just keep saying, we haven't had a chance to look. Sorry.
Yeah, and listen, if they're super, super busy and they're kind of making a point about it,
you want to be respectful.
We'll go ahead and move on. But, for instance, last night, there wasn't a line out the door. So, but that's our personal
Wednesday
rule.
night, people don't go out to dinner. That's not the big night to go out. But, I would like to try and employ that, but I tend to be in a rush every time I go out.
You're rushing.
I'm the
with
one.
you.
I'm like,
I'm like, let's get it on.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Do you recommend doing online for these places that are hard to get into, or doing online reservations, or calling, or does it matter?
Oh, I mean, first of all, this is kind of obvious, but plan in advance if you can, because these places, and honestly, I'm not, tooting our own horn here, but when this issue comes out, these places are already busy, and then they just get that much more jammed up. Just like when Best of Philly comes out, they literally use it like a Bible. But we do know that if you call the restaurant and you're like, listen, my 20th anniversary is this Friday, I can't get a reservation online, absolutely calling can have an effect for sure. Absolutely.
Victor, there's some types of food in here that I'm not that familiar with, including the Venezuelan one that you mentioned. And then there's a Filipino restaurant in Bella Vista called Tabachov.
I think Marissa is a big fan of that one, the Filipino spot.
What can you tell us about
we actually, Filipino is one thing. I think there was a place in Northeast Philly a long time ago. But other than that, as far as I know, Tabachoy is the only Filipino restaurant in the area. The list is, I think there was a time where this list, many years ago would have been all like Le Bec Fen and Vetries of the world. And now, the second place winner is a Thai spot. Now, granted, an award-winning crazy Thai spot where you're going to get Thai food like, no other place.
Right.
Kalaya, I'm talking about, of course. The cover image, which is absolutely wild.
We were talking about that. Both Preston and I said that it conjured arachnophobia at some level.
Scary looking. Marissa said it's phenomenal. She said she actually had that dish.
Yeah.
And said it's wonderful. And I said it looks a little spidery and a little scary to me, but I'm sure it's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and, also people who look at this list, a lot of them are adventurous diners who are looking for, some things they haven't tried before.
Yeah, unique experience.
Obviously the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the sweetbreads are something very high on the list there. And a lot of people, won't go near sweetbreads or
like
other organ
kidneys
meats and
organ
things
meat,
like that.
Yeah.
But I think there's truly something for everybody in here.
Are there, besides the Filipino, are there any other emerging cuisines that have started to, pop up that, hey, try,
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I do think that just in the general Asian realm over the years, we've seen a lot of places come through like Kalaya and like Tapachoy. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I apologize. The one thing on the list that I really love to see was Gabriella's Vietnam, which, is just the best. It used to be that there were only a handful of, like when I started eating Vietnamese food around here 25 years ago, there were only really a few places you could go. Now they're everywhere. Yeah. But if you really want the best Vietnamese food in the entire region, you go to Gabriella's Vietnam.
I did not know this, but Marissa just brought this note in. Tabachoy was at our food trucks and fireworks.
Oh, no kidding.
Awesome.
We had so many food trucks, I didn't get to visit every single one of them, but they came out and
Love
were
that.
a
That's
part
cool.
of that. That's phenomenal. We had one of the top 10 restaurants in Philadelphia.
And I think Korea Taqueria, which is on here, not on the main list, but they're on the
honorable mention.
One of the sidebars. I don't remember which one it is, but they have a food truck as well.
Yeah.
They do kimchi tacos and stuff like that. And listen, there is also like more straightforward food on this list for some people who are listening and saying, well, I don't want kimchi tacos and I don't want sweetbreads. There are plenty of other options. And I do have to say, I know you guys are friends with her. I love to see Jennifer Zavala's Wana Tamale. On the best top 50 list.
That was pretty awesome to see. Because I've been, we were with her as she was opening the restaurant. I've been to the restaurant. It's kind of like tucked in a corner of South Philadelphia. But the food is fantastic. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily matter where a restaurant is located or whatever, as long as the food's okay. Yeah. There are no Delaware County restaurants on this list. I know you wanted to...
like three random out of the city.
I know. But you had
Kathy is very upset about
I
this.
just don't get it.
She can't comprehend it. She hates it.
But you had mentioned, in our email exchange, the restaurant Rosemary, which I have not been to just yet. You wanted that to be on the list.
I love Rosemary, which is in Ridley Park in Delco. And, if I had my way, which obviously I didn't, it would be on the top 50 list, and it would have been the only Delco entry. And I think it would have been fun to have, for the first time ever, Delco restaurant wins. I would put them at there's a top 50 list. Let's say they're 51 in my book.
All right.
Awesome.
So the restaurants Zahav and Laserwolf are still doing very well, obviously. And so with these restaurants that get this notoriety and are appropriate consideration as a major food city, food tourism. I mean, revenue-wise, I have to assume you get the reputation that we have is bringing in a lot of revenue, correct? With places like that in town.
Absolutely. And, I have friends who live in New York City who come to Philly, maybe every 4 months they'll come down and do a little vacation here, only because, not to see me, that's for sure.
Right, yeah.
They're like, we can see you on Zoom, buddy. But no, they read these national accolades that we're getting for restaurants. And, these are people who live in New York City. I also have friends out in San Francisco who come, they'll do a trip once or twice a year, mostly because, these cities have great art museums.
Right.
These cities have great this, and they have their great restaurants, but they know that Philly has its own unique food scene, and they can also go to 5 cheesesteak spots and fight about who has the best cheesesteak.
Right. I love hearing that. Yeah, that's awesome.
I just have to chime in. Kathy, do you think Roxborough is the city? Do you consider that like a hardcore city?
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's a Tibetan restaurant called White Yak that is on the list that I highly recommend. It is, Steve, right near the library.
Yeah.
Right in that area of Roxborough where the shops are. That's really good. There's also, I love that there's some BYOs on the restaurant list. Victor, I don't think you mentioned Stina Pizzeria, which is at 19th and Snyder. And it's really good and a really approachable menu. They have like these delicious pizzas and these like Greek kind of like bread boats that have, that are Stromboli-esque is the best way to describe them, but also some top-notch dishes on their menu.
Absolutely. I'm morally opposed to BYOs, but good for you, Marissa.
I love a BYO.
Marissa, did you look at the list?
Yes.
How many of the 50 have you been to?
35.
Did you count them seriously?
Dude, right during this
I've
conversation.
been to one.
One of them was just the other day. It's called Ambra. Guys, I do not use the word best liberally in my... Well, actually, I do, but kind of facetiously. Ambra was one of the best meals I've ever had. It was an experience. It was 6 people. It was like a private dining fixed menu, and they were kind enough to make it all my dishes pescatarian, and it had a wine pairing. It was kind of a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Once in a lifetime.
It was a little
you put it at
pricey.
that level?
I personally have not been there, and I do have to say right here that Marissa has probably been to more of these restaurants on this list than any one single. Like we've all been to all of these collectively, but Marissa has been to more than any. Yes, yeah.
But you had mentioned Steve Zahav, and that's on there. I guess it's like number 3 or something like that, or it's in the top 10. But I just, for poops and giggles, tried to get a reservation. And they open up the reservation window 8 weeks out. I can't even get in for
It's
2
crazy.
people.
But
8 weeks
I
out.
think they do, and Marissa, I'm sure, will correct me on this since she's the true restaurant expert. But I do think they still have a walk-in bar set up that you can get into. And a friend of mine, maybe in November, was able to get in on that.
Oh, there you go.
I want to circle back. What you got against BYOs, man?
Yeah.
I mean, I like to sit down. I like to have, a martini or another cocktail with my dinner. I mean, listen, if I'm going out for a quick thing, that's fine. But if we're going out for a 2-hour meal, I want to have a cocktail. My wife wants one kind of wine.
Are you not a wine?
Another kind of wine.
All right.
No, I'm with you. I can open a bottle of wine at my house and have it there.
Yeah.
If I go out, I want somebody to mix me. That's why I always look at the cocktail menu.
What
I
about,
want you to mix me up something that I'm not going to do at home. And the same thing with the food. I'm not making that at home.
Right.
What about like a BYOT? Have you ever been to those ones? Bring your own tequila, and then they make the margarita right there for you?
But you know what? A lot of times those mixes aren't great.
The mixes aren't great. And here's the other thing is they don't. So what they do is they have the mixer, and at least the places I've been to, they'll give you a glass with ice and the mixer, and you do your tequila, but you can't get like margarita up with salt on the rim. You know what I mean?
It's like one
It's just
way.
like, here's some, and I just like a very well-made cocktail. I mean, like I said, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, there's so many places we could talk about. Hop Sing Laundromat, in Chinatown.
Still a big thing. Let me ask you, what would be the best example of more approachable, non
affordable
foodie type of entry in this list where someone can say, yeah, maybe I start with that and move on. What's your best entry level restaurant here for the perhaps not wildly cultivated palate? Of course, I'm talking about myself.
Yeah. I mean, so in terms of affordability, which is I think what Nick said, certainly Wana Tamale is a place where you can go and not spend a fortune.
Right.
Granted, you're spending more than you're spending on like a little corner spot that serves not exceptionally good tacos, but you're getting exceptionally good food there. And there are other places on here like, my former food editor, 2 food editors ago, who owns this place, is going to kill me because I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Marissa, is it Mishmish or Mishmish? I mean, that's that is fairly simple food, just done very well.
Done well.
You're not getting like crazy this, foraged thing and this sauce that came from a goat's blood in Sardinia, or I don't even know what
My
I'm
favorite
saying.
goat's
right
blood.
now.
Yeah.
I went to one of the restaurants that's on here, which is Laurel, and that's at Nick Elmy's restaurant. And I had texted him afterwards because they brought in, it was a piece of beef heart that had been cured with salt, and then they take it and they would grate it over your food. And I'm like, I texted him like, Where did you come up with this twisted idea to do? I mean, it was good. It was great. It was excellent food and everything, but there's really exotic treatments that some places will do.
Absolutely.
To your food.
You know, there are some things you just don't like. Like, you know, I personally don't like foie gras. You know, a lot of people do, and some of my colleagues do. You know, my wife and I went out one time, I think it was an anniversary, and we got a little, you know, they gave us a little appetizer on the side of foie gras with some other organ meat, and, you know, I personally don't like a lot of truffle, and there was truffle on it, and I'm just like, I really don't want to eat this, but I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, well, especially if you're going to go and you're going to go make a night of it at some place that has a little bit of reputation, you want to at least take it out for a spin, right? You know, I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think one of the good things about doing this collaboratively, something like this or Best of Philly, is that, you know, it's not one person doing it. I mean, there's one top editor in control, but everybody has their opinions and their things they like and don't like. You know, my one colleague, Jason Sheehan, our restaurant critic, you know, one of his favorite food experiences around is a hot chicken, you know, place in Northeast Philly, Assad's Hot Chicken, which is not on the main list, but it's on one of the side lists that we have.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, the one other thing I wanted to point out on this list is China Gourmet, which is in Northeast Philly. A lot of people have had, you know, dim sum in terms of the food, but I think a lot of us haven't experienced the traditional idea of the cart dim sum, where you just sit at the table and these servers are pushing around these metal carts filled with all kinds of delightful things.
Right.
They come over to your table, you say yes or no, and they write it down on a little card. That is one of, you know, in terms of all the restaurants on here, that's one of my favorite experiences to take people to.
Right.
Because most people haven't had that kind of, you know, traditional dim sum experience.
That's cool.
The restaurants on the list that are hard to get into, hard to get a reservation, do the majority of them leave open or open up, if they can, walk-ins? Reservations for a walk-in.
I know that there are certain restaurants for sure that just simply hold, just like a theater for a Broadway show, they always have house seats where if there is somebody, you know, some VIP who wants to come, they can always get them in there, right? We know this. And, you know, for instance, Park is on the list. Park is one place that absolutely there is always room if you are the right person or if you can make the right case. So again, I feel like, hey, it's our, you know, 20th anniversary, we met at Park, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like you might be more likely to get in. And let's not forget now, you know, maybe this is because I'm Italian and maybe I'm a little old school in the way that I think, but a Palms bill can go a long way.
Yeah, it still works.
Still works. Absolutely. And depending on where you're going, you know, the amount can be upped. But I remember years ago, I went to El Vez, and we had 6 people, and we went and we sat at the bar, and we waited an hour and a half for the table, and we spent a couple $100 at the friggin' bar before we even got to the table. Next time we went, we had 6 people also, and I walked through the door. I was like, I'm not doing this again. And all it took was a Palm 20 in my hand. I just went up, you know, did the little handshake thing, get a table right away. Meanwhile, you know, I hope he's not listening to this. The owner of the magazine, David Lipson, he wound up waiting like an hour for the table. And I think I saw him look at me like, wait, why is Victor getting a table before me? That little twerk.
Have you ever done the, let's see what Mr. Washington has to say?
I think the most I've ever palmed was 50. But again, and you know, this is like a practical point to think about. If you're going out with 6 people, even if you had to do $100 to get what you really wanted, you know, if you split that up among the 6 people, that's not that much money. And I think there are not that many places where, assuming it's not Saturday night at 7:00, that $100 bill isn't going to get you somewhere.
Right.
You know? And most places, I think, even at 7:00, assuming you don't have, you know, 10 people in your party.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask, because we are just, it's officially February, and in a couple of weeks, it's going to be Lent. And I'd love to do something with you guys because for the last few years, every Friday, and listen, I'm not like a practicing Catholic, but I do not eat meat on Fridays, and that's more to like honor my father, I think, than anything else. So I try to do a new pizza place that I've never been to every single Friday during Lent.
And he's committed.
Yeah. I have a whole list of I try to keep it Delco, but it doesn't have to be Delco. But I went to a pizza place yesterday, just based on some recommendations and
we all got the text, the picture of the pie. Yeah.
I was very, very happy with it. But that's going to be on my horizon in about 2 weeks. So, pizza.
Well, so you're a Delco guy.
Yeah.
Have you done honey pie? I keep hearing about honey pie. HUNNYPIE.
That's the name of the restaurant?
It's the name of the pizza place. I think it might have been a pop-up that turned into a full-fledged pizza place.
Honey pie?
Honey pie.
Okay.
HUNNY. You can, on Delco Restaurant Review, they're always talking about that place. I actually haven't been there yet.
I'm going to check
but
this place out.
I live 5 minutes from Pika's, which some people don't even consider pizza.
Preston's not a fan.
It's a different category. When we get Pika's pizza, my wife always says it was good, but it doesn't satisfy my pizza craving because it's a different style than what you're used to growing up with. And I think, that it just, it's a different feeling. It doesn't really get that urge.
It was hyped for years, and then when I had it, it was a little bit of a letdown for me personally. But people love it, and it doesn't matter what.
It's a love-hate place.
Well, pizza's one of the great things that can be a culinary expression. It can be just I'm just going to go grab some pizza. On this list, are there any restaurants that serve a pizza that is a specialty?
Well, Marissa brought one up, right? Stina.
Okay.
Right. And in terms of other pizzas, when I do pizza, I do things like Pika's, or I do things like there is this place on 69th Street right near the Tower Theater. I think it's called Di Leandro's. It's been there for ages. It's cash only. There's literally nowhere to park when you go there, so you have to double park on 69th Street.
That's my favorite thing is when I'm driving through 69th Street is
the double park people.
because you don't want to be in the left lane because then people are making left turns, so you're in the right lane and then you got people double park. That's one of my favorite things ever.
There's also Upper Darby Police Department substation right there.
Yeah.
Right where you have to double park, but they get it. They know you're just trying to get your pizza home to your family, so that they don't bother you.
Yeah, I went to a BYOT Mexican restaurant right around the corner from there one time, and that's why I brought that up, because I thought there was a buzz about it. We had heard about it, and we went there, and I think my favorite part of it was the BYOT part.
Steve, there is one on the sidebars. There's little so pop-ups is one of the things that we're going to start seeing a lot more this year. They've already been around, but Angelo's is a pizza place that was mentioned that a lot of people say has the best cheesesteak in the city as well too.
Question: pop-ups. How long do they last?
Well, some last for quite a long time. Some come in just for. You could have a week, a 1 weekend pop up, and a lot of these things might have started as, a 1 weekend, 1 week thing that then get popular and then turn into, something bigger and then turn into a full-fledged restaurant.
I never go to them, so they're just they'll find a storefront, a restaurant, or a kitchen that they can rent, or
there are different ways to do it. There's actually one up near Roxborough. I'm trying to remember the name of it. But they have basically 4 different spots where people can come and pop up, and some of them stay for shorter amounts of time. Some of them stay for longer amounts of time. Jennifer Zavala's thing, Juana Tamale, that started out as an illegal tamale truck, that would go park under 95 and got shut down by the city. And she would then, go to another spot. And, she was, in my mind, because that was years ago, that was before there were really things that we called pop-ups. We had to come up with a name for what this was eventually.
So a lot of hustling.
And now they're all over the place.
Yeah. But we were talking about the food trucks, and the obviously a lot of them go on to get brick and mortars. My Algorithm is a perfect example.
Sure.
It's very successful and a great restaurant now running that. But the food trucks I would have to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, does Philadelphia have the most robust, eclectic food truck scene in America? I pose you that question.
It has an incredibly robust and diverse food truck scene.
Yeah.
I haven't tried every food truck scene in every part of the country, but we have an amazing food truck scene.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I will tell you that is kind of wild is that I think it's impossible to go get a bacon, egg, and cheese at a food truck in Center City and get pork bacon. They all have beef bacon now.
Really?
It drives me crazy. It's true.
The hell's beef bacon?
beef bacon's a thing.
Yeah. It is?
There's beef bacon. There's turkey bacon.
Yeah,
I know
I
that.
like turkey bacon.
I've never heard of beef bacon.
No, me neither.
Okay, interesting.
And you want some regular pork bacon, damn it.
I want pork bacon.
All right. One last note from Marissa.
All right, just two things real quick. There
Two
is
last notes from Marissa.
a BYOT, bring your own tequila, on the list, and I challenge a lot of people to go. El Chigong, which is in South Philly, right near East Passyunk Avenue. The chef was a former veg chef, and the food is delicious. And then I just want to shout out June BYO, which Kathy is another non-city one. It's in Collingswood, which is a great food
Yeah,
town.
the random Jersey one.
And they are huge fans of Preston and Steve. So I just wanted to say hi.
They like us, Kathy.
What's the name of them again?
June BYO is
And
that
they're
one.
where?
They're in Collingswood.
In Collingswood,
Which is
okay.
near Zeppeli, the other one.
And I love and hate these conversations so much because I'm so
starving.
hungry. I am so hungry at the end of them every time.
That's why these lists. That's why these. Whether it be your Philly's best or this, it's good to get the issue because you'll have good suggestions for the whole year.
Yep, absolutely. So it's out now, and you can do it at phillymag.com, or you can pick up a hard copy issue, which I love.
Hard copy, reliably available right now at Whole Foods, Barnes & Noble, and places like that. And then they kind of trickle into other places.
You had to go buy your own copy, did you not?
I had to go to friggin' Broomall yesterday to the Barnes & Noble to get a copy of the magazine. And as soon as I opened, it was nice though, because as soon as I opened the door, there's this new and notable shelf that you can't miss. And there it is, the big shelf, and it's Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, Trump. And then the very bottom shelf is Mad Magazine and Philly Mag.
Wow. Next to Mad, not too bad.
Do they sell it at the airport? Do you know?
They
Philly
sell it
Mag?
at the airport. They sell it at the train stations. You can still get it at Suburban and I guess 30th Street.
Okay.
And yeah, Whole Foods religiously carry them. I don't know if they have them in yet because some of this stuff just ever since the pandemic, just everything runs
went away.
late.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a great. There's a few other articles that I was digging on as well that you can find in this particular issue. So it's Philly Mag's 50 Best Restaurants in Philadelphia. It's great to see you, Victor. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, Victor Fiorello, the chief editor of Philadelphia Magazine,
founder
and owner. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Version. And that's your traffic on 93.3 WMMR.
What were the words you were trying to
Hold
say?
on, let's see.
All right.
Stock up, and I think seasonal produce was in there.
Sagaban. Oh,
Sabaka, everyone.
Yes, I was listening to Preston Steve this morning. Kathy said you had Sagaba.
All right. Let's get into the balaba.
WMMR presents Preston and Steve's Bizarre File.
Brought to you this morning by The Bagster. Buy yours now at any home improvement store, just $29.99, and you fill it up. They pick it up on your schedule. The Bagster dumpster in a bag. Bill. Bye, Phil. Gone. Sagaba.
Bill Phi Sagaba. And that was your bizarre file.
Bill Phi Sagaba. My name's Bill Phi Sagaba. We should have Nell do the tape.
They fall in love.
Sayalan Kanka.
Sayalan Kanka. Sagaba. Really?
Hello. A man convicted of murdering his coworker after the man stole his lunch from the work refrigerator at a Virginia Target was sentenced to 100 years in prison on Tuesday. Now let's hear the guy out for a moment. Come on.
I'm this close to sending out an email to the staff to tell them that the oat milk in the refrigerator is not theirs. I'm not here to share it.
Are people drinking
Dude,
may I
do
say
what I did and wrap the duct tape around it.
Yeah,
People
what
won't
I
know what it is. It's a mystery liquid.
Don't put anything in the refrigerator, at least with your name on it, if it's going to be long term in there. And then Preston's methodology is great. If they don't know what's in it, they're not going to F with it.
Yeah, first I stored it in a little spot, to see if it moved, and it did. And I was like, oh.
How about Kathy's fridge?
It's too big for that.
Too tall, right?
Now,
You don't wanna
well,
lay
hang
down.
on. There sometimes the fridge is a little crowded, and you have to move some things around. if
I
you're
put it
putting
in a
something
place
there.
where
Okay.
I strategically placed it where I'm like, okay, nobody's going
All
to
right.
have to move this to get to anything else.
All right.
What about the old "I pissed in this" sign?
Yeah. You could put arsenic on it
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that.
So rather than sending an email, I'm saying this out loud. I am not sharing my oat milk.
All right. There you go. Bazin Bari received the 100-year sentence with 30 years suspended, meaning he's going to serve at least 70 in jail. Was found guilty after he planned and carried out the murder of his coworker, Hernan Leyva, in the parking lot of the Target. According to prosecutors, Bari grew angry after he found out that Leyva, who was a janitor at Target, had taken his lunch from the office refrigerator several days earlier. Bari decided to kill Leyva by purchasing a hammer and 2 knives 2 days before the murder.
Oh, my God.
He told detectives that he spent the next day, quote, training for the murder. And Bari arrived at the employee parking lot early and waited for the guy. When Leyva had headed to his car, Bari had stabbed him and bludgeoned him to death.
Jeez.
Yeah, he was arrested and later confessed to the killing.
Not for anything, but did they specify what the food was that was taken?
They didn't. Oat milk.
Oat milk. Does it every time.
He pleaded guilty to a trial in October, and at the sentencing hearing, he threatened to kill or hurt other people if he was not given the harshest possible sentence. He's basically said, "Put me away for good."
Yeah.
He described
By
his actions to the judge as a fit of rage.
Jeez.
That's just crazy. Wow. A Philadelphia woman, this is a follow-up. A Philadelphia woman is facing charges after she caused an interference on a Frontier Airlines flight in what became a viral moment back in November. Dulce Huertas was arrested and charged by a criminal complaint with interference with a flight crew, simple assault, and indecent exposure on a Frontier Airlines flight from Orlando to Philly. If convicted, she faces a maximum sentence of 21 years and 3 months in prison. During the flight, flight attendants served her 2 alcoholic drinks. As the plane was about to land, the Frontier flight attendant saw Huertas get up from her seat, stood up, and said, "I have to pee." The flight attendant told the suspect that she needed to stay seated, and she began yelling and cursing at the attendant before sitting back down in her seat. Once the plane landed, the complaint says Huertas started cursing at passengers around her. The flight attendant asked another attendant to call security to assist at the arrival gate. They then called the captain, and at that point, sorry, I got to switch pages here. Explained the situation, and the captain made an announcement instructing all passengers to remain seated once they got to the gate. But before any of the doors were opened, they said she resumed her aggressive behavior, pushing passengers out of the way. She moved to the front of the plane. She approached the front bathroom of the plane, but was stopped as flight attendants said they were disarming the main cabin door.
Jeez.
And Huertas then said, "Sorry, everybody," and pulled her pants and underwear down and squatted as if she was going to pee.
Yeah.
She displayed her private parts.
Piss.
And notably, there were children around.
Don't piss.
Huertas did not urinate, but she then stood up, pulled her underwear back, and then cursed at the passengers.
Yeah, that just happened.
Once again, she approached the front of the plane and told a flight attendant, "Let me pass," as the attendant stood in the way to allow another flight attendant to disarm the main cabin door. She allegedly used her belly to bump the flight attendant, but was unsuccessful in her attempt to get past. The suspect then yelled, cursed, and threatened to kill multiple passengers. It's an ongoing investigation, but she's facing the charges now.
Seems like they have enough evidence.
Yep. All right, and then we'll do one more story, and we will wrap it up. A man allegedly shot himself in the neck while trying to steal a car from a car dealership in Tennessee on Friday. Joshua Garvins was charged with aggravated robbery following an incident at Champion Auto Sales in Memphis. An employee at the dealership was trying to sell a vehicle to him and took him on a test drive. The employee told police that he felt uneasy because Garvins was acting peculiar. Police said as the employee got out of the car, Garvins demanded the keys. When the employee refused to hand them over, Garvins allegedly threatened to kill him. The two got into a physical altercation during which the suspect pulled out a gun. Witnesses told police the two wrestled over control of the gun, and that's when the shots rang out. An arrest report states that the bullet hit Garvins in the neck, and he ran off. He didn't get far. Quickly taken into custody by the Memphis police, and a mugshot appears to show Garvins with a bandage on his neck where he shot himself. All right, and there you go.
I saw this footage the other day of a guy who goes in to rob a place. Well, the guy who's behind the counter has a gun, shoots, So he gets this wound on his neck, and it looks like a prank from a Monty Python movie. The blood is
gross.
Oh.
And as he's moving around, it just so happens that the facility's like all white. So the floor that he goes through the revolving doors, and he's turning around, and it's spraying on and then he just falls down because he lost so much blood at that time.
Did he die?
Yeah, he died. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's messed up.
It's the
All right.
craziest footage.
All right, we will.
I'll send it to you.
Please do. Send it over. I'll pass it along to my kids. But we're going to take a break. We'll come back in a second. We'll do lesson question, Tarash, and music news. So stay with us.
So cool.
Registration is happening as we speak, and you can sign up now at WMMR.com. It's presented by Springfield Mitsubishi, by the way. And we now, and I guess I should have announced this earlier. I'll hit it a little harder tomorrow, but we now have our sponsor for a new category. We have $1,000 for the best Tito's handmade vodka sled.
Nice.
So keep in mind, most of the sleds are going to be for other things, concepts and themes. And so usually when we have one of these, a sponsored category, there's only a few that are in in that particular category, and therefore you got a good shot at winning.
Yes.
So keep in mind, run with that Tito's handmade vodka theme, and you could win $1,000 at Cardboard Classic. Best design overall gets $1,000. Then we have $500 for fastest, plus prizes for the Preston and Steve favorite fail, which will be announced down the road a little bit.
So 4 weeks from tomorrow, we're doing Cardboard Classic, and then 6 weeks from today, we'll be in Clearwater for spring training.
It's crazy.
It's
Yeah.
right around the corner.
Yeah, and 1 week from Tuesday, we're doing Galentine's Day.
How about that?
Yeah, we got a lot coming up, man.
And then, wait, 1 week from tomorrow. Did you guys already mention Soup Bowl?
1 week from
Soup
tomorrow, the
Bowl.
Soup Bowl.
Soup Bowl.
Yeah. Should we have Bill back for that?
Yes.
Yeah. Why not?
We'll
invite him.
He lives right down the street.
Maybe the phobia's been snapped. When
Yeah.
he's not behind the boss chair, maybe he's just an incredible mess with soup.
So we have all these things coming up. But just go to PrestonandSteve.com. You can get all the information for all those things right there. All right, let's do today's lesson question, and we are going to give away tickets for the 4-pack of tickets, by the way, for the Philadelphia Golf and Travel Show, which is coming up this weekend at Philly Expo Center at Oaks. Question I have for you this morning is from the 6 o'clock hour, who was originally supposed to play Billy Madison? 215-263. WMMR. Didn't know that it wasn't Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Who was originally supposed to play Billy Madison. 215-263 WMMR. If you happen to know that answer, we'd like to hear from you. Call right now.
The trash business is a gold mine. 93.3 WMMR with Preston and Steve's Hollywood Trash.
We'll get right to it. What's going on this morning, Steve?
Well, Margot Robbie finally speaking out on not getting a Best Actress nomination for the Barbie movie. Robbie says she's decided to take the high road, noting that it'll all be worth it if Ryan Gosling loses.
Oh, my God.
Kim Kardashian and Kanye West putting any tension between the two aside to take their kids to Nobu in Malibu. Kardashian believes it's important that their kids have a sense of normalcy while eating a $2,000 sushi dinner. Heidi Klum revealing the strangest place she has ever had sex on a recent podcast. For Klum, who became a supermodel at a very young age, it was a bedroom. And that's your Hollywood Trash.
All right, we're going to see if you do know the answer to this question. Who was supposed to originally play Billy Madison? And we will go to Ed D. looking for the answer. Ed, morning, bud.
Hey, good morning.
All right, so who was originally supposed to play Billy Madison?
Lenny Kravitz.
Lenny Kravitz. Hang on, bud. Give you a 4-pack of tickets for the Philadelphia Golf and Travel Show, which is going to be Friday through Sunday at the Philadelphia Expo Center at Oaks. Get unbeatable deals on golf equipment and accessories, and you can visit PhiladelphiaGolfShow.com.
Now, Preston and Steve's Music News on 93.3 WMMR.
You just made a mess in my mouth. Brought to you by Family and Company Jewelers. If you are ring shopping this Valentine's Day, visit Family and Company Jewelers on Route 70 in Marlton, New Jersey. Online at FamilyJewelers.com, South Jersey's diamond destination. David Draymond wants country pop superstar Carrie Underwood to join Disturbed on stage to sing "Don't Tell Me," a track that Hearts and Wilson duets on. The frontman posted online, "Who'd like to see Carrie Underwood perform 'Don't Tell Me' with Disturbed in Nashville? I know I sure as hell would." And he said, "What do you say, Carrie? Shall we rock?" It wasn't clear if he was truly asking or if something may actually be in the works for February 17th. Carrie, who lives just outside of Nashville, does have an opening in her schedule on that date, and she has performed with Guns N' Roses several times.
And she sang rock.
And joined them on tour late last year. She can pull it off,
Yes,
man.
she can.
She's a great vocalist, so we'll see. AC/DC's Back in Black video has officially topped 1 billion views on YouTube. Yep.
It's like a billion.
The clip, which was uploaded in November of 2012, marks the band's second song to reach the milestone. Their song Thunderstruck hit 1 billion views in 2021.
It's like 1 billion.
Back in Black, the album first went platinum in October 1980. Man, I remember when that album came out. Wow.
It dominated.
It was just incredible. It had previously been certified 22 times platinum in December 2007. The RIAA lists it as the 4th biggest selling album of all time.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a perfect record. Everything on it is great. Godsmack shared a video online from the rehearsals of their upcoming Vibes tour. The Trek will see frontman Sully Erna and his bandmates in intimate evenings featuring acoustic and electric performances. And Erna commented about that and said...
That's a lot to say about that.
Well, it's been almost 20 years since they've done this type of tour. And he said, we decided that why not do a couple of quick runs, keep us tuned up, play some other stuff, and that we don't get to play on the big show. The first leg starts February 15th in Catoosa, Oklahoma.
It's just outside of Sagaba.
Yeah, Sagaba and Catoosa are right next to each other. That's all I'm saying about that.
I got you.
And then finally...
That's all I had to say about that.
Recently discovered candid film footage of the Beatles has surfaced of their iconic movie Help. The 3-minute, 17 seconds of 8mm film is set to be auctioned by RR Auction as part of the Remarkable Rarities series.
How do they keep finding new stuff when it comes to the Beatles?
For years, hopefully for years, Nick. Well, you figure after all this time they would have uncovered everything that could be uncovered. Did you see this footage, Preston? I'm a huge fan of A Hard Day's Night and Help, and it's that scene where they have them protected by tanks while they're recording the album.
Yeah. They were recording the song the night before,
right?
In that portion of the movie. No, I've not seen it yet.
Yeah.
The footage shot on location at Salisbury Plain, Wiltshire, during the production of their "I Need You" sequence, captures the Fab Four engaging with cast and crew, playing their instruments, and sharing lighthearted moments. The original black and white silent film was captured on May 3rd, 1965, and is believed to be from a member of the production crew or possibly a friend of the Beatles. So I guess some of these people just sat on this stuff,
right?
Forgotten about it.
I mean, if you were around the Beatles at that time and you had a Super 8 camera and a camera that you could get some footage, you'd do that.
Yeah. All right, and that's it in music news. I'd like to give away some movie passes. We have an advanced screening of Lisa Frankenstein, which is going to be Monday at 7 p.m., and it's at the PFS East Theater. It's on 2nd Street in Old City. And we'll take callers 8, 9, and 10 at 215-263-WMMR. You can win tickets as well if you go to WMMR.com. There's another shot to get some over there. Shant?
It's been a day.
Dude, I've had a hard time in the past half hour speaking.
So
I think I caught it from Kathy.
I ruined it for you.
I probably gave it to you all because last night I got about an hour and a half's worth of sleep.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because my wife came back into town and was late from the airport. I had delays. But I'm doing okay.
There's that footage of that one woman reporter where she has it's basically a seizure of sorts.
Yes, yeah.
She is just speaking gibberish, and you can see it in her eyes. She's like,
"Oh no,
the words that I'm thinking of are not coming out of my mouth right now."
Yep,
and
that's all I have to say about that.
That's it.
But you're talking about the blonde woman who's there, and I thought you feel so bad for them when they're going through that too.
But once you find out that she's actually okay,
it's hilarious.
Then you can laugh your ass off at it. We'll take a break. We'll wrap up the program. When we return, don't miss it, because that next letter you're going to need for the Word of the Week prize is coming up. We'll be right back. Warm here, because I know, Casey, you'd like to do that.
Yeah, when I did that
Hold
the
that
other
note.
day, somebody texted in. It was funny. I was not offended by it at all. But the guy he said, I don't know what it is, but when Casey was singing that high part, just made me rage so much. Mike, I get it. I get it.
Well, there are
rage.
There are frequencies that will send people into rages.
Yes. It's, maybe you triggered that.
Yeah.
It's in his brain somewhere.
It's like the Kingsman, probably very similar.
Yes. All right, so today's been fun. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. I would like to thank Victor Fiorello.
Yes.
For being on with us this morning from Philly Mag. And Philly Mag has their top 50 restaurants in Philadelphia, 8 of them being outside of the city.
I was going to say that too. Apparently, he got a text from, I don't know.
His editor.
Maybe it was a food editor.
His editor that said
like,
there's
8 of them.
8 on the list.
Yeah.
Also, he texted me after he left, and he wanted to give a shout out, but he totally forgot his wife's 48th birthday was earlier this week, and then his son Zubin turned 18 as well. So happy
There you
birthday to Zubin and to Suchita.
Happy birthday,
It's
guys.
a lovely family. They were out at the Fur Bowl a couple of years ago, and wonderful.
All right, and those are... Yeah, that's all the thank yous. Other than caller Marco this morning, which was pretty wild. They were talking about the decapitator in Levittown. He knew the guy, went to school with him, and had some very interesting things.
And who's our other guest? A gentleman named Pancake?
Tell us this morning. And Pancake was on the show, too. Thank you, Steve. I was going to leave him out in the dark. And here, speaking of Pancake,
he'd got your head off.
His best buddy comes by, Pierre
That's
Robert.
right.
Hey, man.
Hey, Casey, can I borrow some of your oat milk?
Is it you? You drinking the oat milk?
No, I don't like oat milk. One time I was, though, liberally using some hot sauce, and I would bring it back after my show and sit on a little couch in that other room. And Sarah was working at one of the desks. Pancake was at the other. And he goes, "Is that good hot sauce?" I go, "Yeah, it's pretty good." I don't know whose it is. It says SP on it. And she started laughing. And I go, "What?" She goes, "Sarah Parker."
Uh-huh.
Oh.
I see.
Never pegged you as a hot sauce guy.
No.
Well, I'm not super hot. I mean, just a touch spicy.
All right.
On your corn dogs?
Well, on my burgers.
Yeah.
I usually get them raw with pork roll.
I want them bloody.
Here's the thing, though. If you are, and I know because you're a person who does this, like when you put stuff in there, you know other people are going to use it. Like if you're putting it in a community fridge, you can't expect that no one's going to touch it.
I buy half and half cartons because the chemical stuff is foul and evil. You can light that powder stuff and it'll light on fire.
Yeah.
For creamer, those chemical creamers, and so I buy that meat. I don't know, a quart size half and half. Sometimes they give them to me downstairs because I buy so much stuff from them, and I put them in, and they're totally for anyone's use. I'm willing to share them.
It was funny because your delivery, your coffee delivery came the other day, and I've traveled with suitcases that weighed less. And, you are a coffee man.
Well, I was getting not only for me, I was getting for Pancake, and I was getting for Connor, and and Starbucks has food things, breakfast foods, and then I get the kids some little cinnamon snacks. They have cinnamon coffee cakes.
You're the catering service.
I become the catering service. There it is.
All right. You ready to conjure up a letter
Yes.
for us? All right, let's do this thing.
Preston and Steve on 93.3 WMMR.
Now, the Daily Letter. All right, and the Preston and Steve show is brought to you today by the letter
N, as in not in my refrigerator.
All right, and we have one more letter to go. Then we give away the $500 Joseph Anthony gift card, and it's the ultimate destination for all things beauty and wellness, closer than you might think. Treat yourself to a day of relaxation at Joseph Anthony in Glen Mills, Springfield, and Center City, Philadelphia. What's coming up on the show today?
I don't like BYOBs either. I agree with you. I know a lot of people love them. I want my drink made and brought to the thing.
And dance for me.
And I want them brought by a table, a dancing series of surfers to deliver the drink for me on a surfboard.
There you go.
And
That's all you
can't
ask.
Get that at BYOBs.
That's on your show today?
Surfboards, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No. And I wanted, before the thing, plug again, Black History Month begins tonight. It's not every Wednesday, it's every weeknight. And Jackie at 8 o'clock is going to do some couple of 2 or 3 really cool songs, and that will happen every weeknight, but it starts tonight.
Did you happen to get photos from Jackie last night? Because he sent me a series.
He sends me 8,000 pictures
The ones, the ones that he sent me last night were his father holding up records of Doris Day.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty damn good. I enjoyed that.
He had a Doris Day, and he had that other one.
Dinah Shore.
Dinah Shore,
yes.
Yeah, the late Dinah Shore. Anyway, workforce blocks will be Tom Petty in honor of Mike Campbell's birthday, Tool, and Kinks. Dave Davies' birthday is coming up, so we're going to don't need a reason to do a block of the Kinks, but it'll be fun.
Excellent. All right, I want to thank our sponsor, Preston and Steve Show, brought to you today by Duncan, and the Preston and Steve Show runs on Duncan. Tomorrow, no sad bro. That's all I'm going to say. No sad bro Friday. That's it. We're done. Rage on. Have yourself a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.